We don't listen. Middlesbrough went 1-0 up, Jamie.
Yeah, he's right.
Right, they played brilliant. The first half, we scored an equaliser, right, and that done it. That put it to bed because the second half we come out flying, mate. Middlesbrough had nothing. They were leggy. They were gone.
I think the rule is if you're going to
great call.
Don't get caught.
What? What's that?
The rule is you're going to cheat.
Is that your analysis of?
I think
Spygate.
I think. Well,
if you're going to cheat, don't get caught.
Well, I think if you cheat, rule number 1, don't get caught. Can't get caught cheating, mate. Can you?
You can't say that, mate.
Well, you can.
You can't.
I don't think it's cheating.
What do you mean?
Just don't get caught.
What do you mean? It's cheating.
It's not cheating.
It's a form of cheating.
It's not a form of cheating, but if you are cheating, don't get caught.
Is texting another woman cheating?
What are you saying to her?
Well,
you tell me what I'm saying, I'll tell you it's cheating.
We're just having a little chat. We're having a,
No, it's not cheating.
We're having a little chat. You're a bit flirty.
Right, okay, what am I saying? You give me the context of the text, and I'll tell you it's cheating.
Say, I see you at the bar the other day. I got your number, and I thought I'd give you a message. I thought you look really pretty.
That's not cheating in my book.
You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace.
Oh, that's not cheating, is it?
What do you mean? It's a form of cheating.
It's not.
It is.
No, it's not. It's fine.
You can't get away with that.
No, I think you wouldn't.
You can't get away
but
with
here's
that.
the thing. I ain't got caught. Delete the text. Delete the text. Delete the text.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Video headlines at 10:02. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Former Celtic midfielder Paul Lambert's told talkSPORT the watered-down VAR is not working in Scotland. It follows Celtic's controversial late penalty winner at Motherwell. No pen, says Lambert.
The trajectory of the ball goes 50 yards out the pitch. You can never do that with a hand unless you punch it.
Hearts now need to avoid defeat at Celtic on Saturday to end this thrilling Premiership title race on top.
I think if Hearts use the emotion of that to get into Parkhead on Saturday, they'll lose the game. For me, the damage has been done when Hearts never got a result against Motherwell a few weeks ago.
In the Premier League, Arne Slot says he has no reason to believe he won't be Liverpool manager next season, and Mo Salah will be available for a few minutes off the bench at Aston Villa, live on talkSPORT tomorrow. Mikel Arteta's seemed to confirm Ben White's World Cup dream is over. He's got what looks like a long-term injury. On the World Cup, that halftime show during the final will feature Madonna, K-pop band BTS and Shakira. Chris Martin's revealed the lineup in a video with some Muppets.
Can you believe it? They're doing a halftime show during the World Cup final.
That doesn't sound half bad.
Well, it doesn't sound half good either.
Hey, Statler and Waldorf, you guys are invited too. Everyone's invited, right?
Yeah. Sure,
okay, so let's go.
Meanwhile, scientists have warned FIFA's current heat safety measures could put players at serious risk of harm this summer. And Lee Westwood's told us if Live Golf collapses, he'd rather play with the seniors than go back to the PGA Tour.
I've never really enjoyed playing the PGA Tour that much, in 30-odd years of being a professional golfer.
The US PGA Championship gets underway from 11:40 UK time. Rory McIlroy's teeing off at 1:40 p.m. There's more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Big Angela Rayner's seen as a potential challenger to the Prime Minister, and 2 UK police forces are testing the world's first roadside laughing gas breathalyzer. Emma has more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 600 centres across the UK, most of which open 7 days a week, we're always there when you need us. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Cool and unsettled. Sunny spells and showers. Those showers heaviest across central and southern UK. Thunderstorms as well. Breezy. Coastal gales later in the far northeast.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT. So a 99th minute penalty sees Celtic take the Scottish title race to a final day decider against Hearts. Was it the most controversial decision in Scottish football history? Meanwhile, Manchester City moved to within 2 points of Arsenal. Unlike the final day jeopardy in Scotland, has England got a more as you were feel about it? Also today, how concerning is Adam Wharton's admission? Is attack the best form of defence in leadership? Should English football owners take the Japanese approach? And from midday we talk boxing with top fight commentator Adam Smith, and Spencer is around as well. Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
I know we joke a lot about, it's only Scottish football, and you have a giggle at Scottish football's expense now and again. From the moment I came into this building at 7:30 this morning to going on air now with you, Simon, I cannot tell you the number of conversations I've had about that incident in the 99th minute of the game at Fir Park, Motherwell last night. Motherwell Celtic. We're going to get into it in a second, but it's a penalty decision. It's a penalty awarded to Celtic at 2-2. And of course, with so much riding on the result, Celtic would go 3-2 up, and then it would go into the final day.
Yeah.
And Hearts having led the way and continue to lead the way. So many people are having their say on this penalty decision. Now, I will get into the nuts and bolts of it in a second. Where do you stand on it before I go any further?
Oh, it's a scandalously bad decision. It's a scandalously bad decision. And the only rectification for this decision, I hope Celtic are able to beat Hearts on the weekend 5-0, because that would then prove the point that ultimately it wouldn't have made much difference because they've had to score that amount of goals. That's the only way this becomes some sort of validation, that Hearts turn up on the weekend, get pumped 5-0, which they won't, at Celtic, and all the arguments dissipate. Because that, if Martin O'Neill had a penalty given against him like that, he would have gone Garrity. He would have gone berserk, because that was an appalling decision. I don't think anybody at any point can find validation for that decision besides the guy that ultimately gave it, which is the referee and the VAR asking him to intervene. You listen to all the pundits. I know some of those pundits are seeded in a dislike for Celtic, whether it's Chris Boyd or whatever else. But across the board, whoever was on that panel for different reasons, I know that Derek McGuinness has gone hard, and he may regret those words because it will be built up as a narrative leading up to the game about it's disgusting and it's a circumstance surrounding the old firm.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think he's been a fabulous manager all season. I think Hearts deserve to win the league, and I really hope that they go and win it at Celtic Park, because the story is not really Rangers and Celtic for the good reasons. It's the demise of Rangers and Celtic, an uptick of another club inside the Premier League. That's why everyone else in England and everyone's talking about it, is because it's brought fascination to this league, whereas before it's just predictability with the arrogance of the old firm teams that can't even get themselves together to put fans inside a stadium.
Yeah.
It's an absolute delight to everybody that likes football and supports football to see someone else come out of the ether to do something different, to break up the monopoly.
Yeah.
And here we are at the business end of the season, and people are going, oh, hello, is this a confected outcome to make sure that it stays with the establishment?
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, yesterday, a taxi driver, Big Pete, who's a Fulham fan, first thing he said to me was, it's a big night in Scotland tonight, isn't it? Do you think Hearts will go all the way? It's quite a story. So down here, people are talking about the effort that Hearts have made to try and win this league title this season. Down here, it is being talked about in a big way. So this was the situation. Hearts beat Celtic, I beg your pardon, Hearts beat Falkirk 3-0, while Celtic won away at Motherwell by 3-2. Now, it means that Celtic are 1 point behind the leaders Hearts, who they host on Saturday. Celtic must beat Hearts to win the title. Anything else, and Hearts will be champions. So in some ways, Simon, yeah, it's a dream scenario for Scottish football.
Yeah, some way.
Right to the last day. But last night at 2-2, Celtic would have required a 3-goal victory against Hearts to be champions. With Celtic struggling to find a late goal, they were given a lifeline thanks to this 99th minute penalty award. Now, what happened was this. The penalty came after Motherwell midfielder Sam Nicholson was deemed to have handled the ball after challenging for a header with Celtic defender Austin Trusty. Referee John Beaton was sent to the monitor by the VAR and immediately, more or less immediately, awarded a penalty. Iheanacho scored it, and Celtic won the game by 3-2. On the penalty award, this was Martin O'Neill.
The lads have a little monitor beside me. It's very, very small.
I can't really see it too much, need another pair of glasses. And the lads thought it looked as if it was a penalty handball, and also looks as if he's had an elbow as well too. So, but listen, I thought we had a penalty in the first half. VAR cleared that one.
Not good enough.
Well, Martin was being quite cute there.
You're better than that.
And we know Martin.
He knows it's not a penalty.
Yeah. So then, that bit tougher was the response from Derek McInnes through in Edinburgh after Hearts had seen off Falker.
And seeing it, it feels like us against everybody. It's when you see the two that we didn't get at the weekend, and then you see that, how they can arrive at that situation. I mean, listen, Celtic have, I'm sure, more than a touch of fortune of getting that penalty. But I'm getting more and more dismayed at some of the decisions that our referees are coming up with. It's such a bad decision. Motherwell must feel totally aggrieved with it. I don't see. I had to keep looking at it. I thought I was missing something when I was watching it. I had to ask, what am I looking for here? No, it's actually quite disgusting, to be honest.
So the moment itself, Simon, a header, a handball, or was it both? Was it clear cut? Was it clear cut in any way? How definitive can you be?
It's not a penalty. It's not a penalty. I mean, he's got to do his job now. They've got to win. They can't rely on other people to do their jobs.
McInnes and Hearts.
Yeah, they've got to do their jobs, right? He can create, what he'll do and cleverly do it is he'll create a spirit of us against them. He'll put the referees on notice that ultimately there's a real feeling that there's a bias and the ultimate situation that is engineered in a certain way. So that sort of language may not be as ill-advised as it first sounds, because it will create this temperature of everybody doubling down, watching and making sure nothing happens on the weekend that gives anybody cause to be outraged any more than any disappointment will happen. They missed their opportunity against Motherwell. They could have beaten Motherwell themselves, right, on the weekend. They drew.
True.
He's got to do his job now. Now, the idea that they want to talk about whataboutery and John Beaton was last week refereeing them or was in the VAR himself last week and penalties weren't given, that's all got to be taken to one side. And look just at this. We get often conflating the individual decisions by going, well, it didn't happen over there. Just concentrate on this one decision.
Right.
This one decision was scandalously bad. It was scandalously bad. And that referee shouldn't be anywhere near refereeing that game or any game in the immediate future because of that decision, because it's that bad a decision.
You see, in moments like that with VAR decisions, and then the referee goes to the monitor, and it can drag on and can drag on. You've said to me, they've got to be quicker.
20 seconds.
They've got to be... Now, over 4 minutes for the David Raya foul decision to be made. West Ham against Arsenal.
20 seconds for this.
Compared to 20 seconds last night.
So it's preordained. So he's made his mind up. The moment VAR intervenes.
No, but it knocks down your argument about speed over accuracy.
No, absolutely. But the point is that I don't go from one extreme to the other. There has to be a middle mark. I wouldn't suggest that 4 minutes is acceptable. I think 20 seconds to run across, have a one-angled situation, because clearly the angles of these cameras aren't as prolific and as specific as they are in the Premier League, because it's not quite the same proposition.
But when the ramifications are so important, it should take as long as it takes.
To a point. But
not 20 seconds.
To a point, but it shouldn't take 4 minutes. And if it takes 4 minutes, I mean, I would have imagined that having a reasonable amount of time to make a decision. It's a long time to look at something for a minute. It's a long time. Sitting in a stadium, even more so because time explodes and space contracts. Yeah. And you're in this sort of environment where everything slows down. So the bottom line is that it's a bad decision. However we cut and slice and dice the other aspects of it, it's done quickly or done in too long a fashion. That is an appalling decision, and it needs responsible people. If they want this refereeing fraternity to up their game, we've got to cut this disingenuous crap out. Martin O'Neill should be saying, honestly, that he doesn't think that's a penalty, because even the beneficiaries of bad decisions.
Say that.
Yeah, but then you will never get it changed.
He's never going to say that.
Okay, then when it comes
he wants that penalty given.
But
for
then
Celtic
when it comes
to win the game.
but then when it comes your way, that bad decisions aren't called out.
I agree.
You cannot cry and squeal like stuck pigs.
Yeah.
You've got to be honest about things. Otherwise, you're never going to make these situations change, because you only do it when it affects you and not when it doesn't. I know that might be a human trait, but you are the ones that are constantly complaining about inconsistency, and the inconsistency starts with you. When it suits you, you say nothing about it. When it doesn't suit you, you scream like stuck pigs. So you've got to have the mentality of saying, we as a unit, we as football managers, we as football participants are not accepting these poor decisions, because even when it goes our way, we've got the candour and the honesty and the integrity to call it for what it is.
The thing is,
no, you're hypocrites, a lot of you.
Nothing can be done about it now, though.
No, of course not.
The decision obviously stands.
But you
the
can,
penalty
but
kick
you
was
can
given and
change
it
the
was taken.
landscape going forward and remove this us and them and this poor decision-making mentality. And of course, when people start saying, Mikel Arteta said a year ago, these are the worst referees in Europe. A year later, he's had an epiphany, and suddenly, because a decision's gone his way, it's all of a sudden, hang on a second, I understand how difficult the job is now.
A variety of things to this morning. And I'm looking forward to taking calls on it. We'll do that right now. But here's the thing. When the kick was awarded, when the incident happened inside the box, of course it did. But the huge number of Celtic fans behind the goal were in no way animated, and Ralston went back over looking to shape up to take the throw in, because that's where the ball had gone out of play. So it didn't look to me as if penalty's going to be given here. There's a big penalty claim here. There's a penalty claim here. That did not come through to me at the time. And the thing is, it's got to be definitive. John Beaton, the referee, gave it, but can he definitively say that was handball, penalty? And if he can't, then he can't give it.
But the process of VAR intervening is the flawed perspective, because we know that the moment the VAR gets involved, 99 times out of 100, 99 times out of 100, they award the penalty. So that referee, by having the VAR intervene, made his mind up running to that monitor.
Right. In a title race that keeps on giving, will Hearts hold their nerve at the weekend? Give us a call on that, Hearts fans. How are you honestly feeling about this? I mean, at the end of the day, it's all important now. Are you confident you can get the result you need against Celtic at Celtic's place to get you over the line? 03717223344. And that apart, header, handball, or both, was it clear-cut or was it a disgusting decision? How definitive can you be? Could Beaton honestly say definitively it was handball, and if he can't give it? So how come he gave it? 03717 223344. As we alluded to yesterday, Southampton are likely to face a sporting sanction if they're found guilty of spying charges. As a result, they could end up being thrown out of the playoff final to be replaced in that final by Middlesbrough instead, the team that they put out last night at the semi-final second leg stage. We said we'd look into this more thoroughly from a financial, legal expert point of view, and the very man who fits that bill is sitting to my right. Stefan Borsten joins us live in studio. And Stefan, good morning to you.
Hi.
We'll get into how this may or may not play out in the courts. Is there a precedent, Stefan, for chucking a team out of the playoffs?
Well, it happened to Swindon, but it was different. Well, not in terms of the playoffs, but in terms of sort of annulling the promotion. But it was a different situation. I mean, there's no situation where you've had it all come to a head within this small window around the playoffs. In terms of spying / espionage, there's really very few cases anywhere in football in respect of this. So you've got the Leeds situation that we know about, where it was systematic. They ended up with a £200,000 fine. And effectively, the other part of the sanction was to vote in favour of the rule that then came in. This rule that we're now talking about in terms of the 72-hour rule. That was part of the agreement on that. So that brought the rule in. The only other case is actually from the from the Olympics with Canada's women's team, and FIFA in 2024 docked them 6 points.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Talk boxing later on this morning. Adam Smith, the voice of boxing, will be in studio with Simon and myself, and we'll be joining Spencer, of course. He's up north because in Doncaster this weekend, Dave Allen has the unenviable task of taking on Philip Hergovic. We shall get to that, but in the meantime, we are in the midst of this. What a story we have got in our hands this morning, and it comes out of Scotland. Was it the most controversial decision in Scottish football history? Many of you, I can tell you this morning, many of you messaging in this morning saying, without doubt it was and is the most controversial decision in Scottish football history. The occasion was last night, Motherwell Celtic. It was 2-2. Celtic would have required a 3-goal win at Hearts to be champion against Hearts at the weekend to be champions. Celtic were struggling to find a late goal. They were given a lifeline thanks to a 99th minute penalty kick against Motherwell. The penalty came after Motherwell's Sam Nicholson was deemed to have handled the ball after challenging for a header with Celtic defender Austin Trusty. John Beaton, the referee, was sent to the monitor by VAR and immediately, took him 20 seconds, said penalty kick. Now, it's got to be definitive to be given. And John Beaton gave it. But can he definitively say it was handball? If he can't, then he can't give it. And definitely shouldn't have given it if he can't. But he gave it anyway. So where does it take us now? My God, what a situation. Celtic must beat Hearts at the weekend to win the title. Anything else than that, and Hearts will be champions. But many of you telling us this is the most controversial decision ever in Scottish football. Is it? 03717 223344. Colin's a Celtic fan. Colin, good morning. Where do you stand in all of this?
Morning, Jim. Big overstatement by you guys. Look, can I just make an observation? Gabby was talking about his new wig earlier on. I don't know if you heard it. I think it's a new pair of glasses, right? 63 years I've been watching live football, and I don't mean sitting in the house, going to games for 63 years.
Yeah.
I've never heard such an overstatement. Simon, I'll ask you this. If his hand's not touching the ball, why it's so close to it? If his elbow wipes out Trusty like it possibly could have, how's that not a yellow card and a penalty as well? Because if that's in the middle of the park, you're given a foul first before you go to the monitor to see a penalty. Jim, I know you're quite fair. I've met you a number of times. I do think.
Yeah, I think I recognise your voice. I remember you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is a big overstatement. Go and look at some of the pathetic calls throughout this season, and some of them will shock you. Worse than that one.
Well, I think that's probably right. But let's not lose the overall position in terms of an accelerated statement, which is the worst decision ever. Let's put that to one side. Let's put the argument to one side. it's a poor decision. Put aside your argument about elbow. It wasn't given for an elbow. It was given for a handball. So put that argument to one side. The handball decision, it was never, ever a penalty. I'm sure it wasn't the worst ever decision, but it was never a penalty.
Why is his hand so close to the ball? If it's never a penalty...
I don't know. You have to ask the player why his arm is up there, but it was never... Everybody besides Celtic fans, everybody that's objective...
Sky have delivered many angles, and every angle, to me, suggests it's a handball. I'll be honest, at first I'm shouting for a foul on Trusty because he's elbowed him in the side of the face. That's how it looks. So we can't put that to the side.
But you can, because that's not what the penalty was awarded for. That's not what the penalty was awarded for. It wasn't a second offence. You don't get...
It was given for handball.
It was given for handball.
Simon, the first reaction should have been, why is he wiped out Trusty?
But that's not the point. You're arguing a different point. The point is that the penalty was given for a handball.
In both counts, he gave the referee every opportunity. Look, I run a big football club. I hear all this talk about refereeing, and refereeing standards are pretty poor all round. All round. And anybody that thinks Celtic get anything, they need to rethink the conversation.
Put aside that argument, right? Because that's a media-run argument, right? And it'll be the argument that Derek McGuinness wants to run to be able to galvanise his troops. In isolation, that's a poor decision, and you can defend it as much as you want, but you'll be on your own to do it because you're not being objective. You've got a Celtic mindset.
No, it's not, Simon. It's not. I'm quite fair-minded. I don't shout for something that's not there.
Colin, if it had been 2-1 to Celtic, and this happened at the other end, and it was a penalty awarded to Motherwell in exactly the same circumstances,
you'd have gone berserk.
Would you have been going berserk?
Can we just
answer me, Colin,
slightly here, Jim? Can we just change it slightly? Why are we not celebrating that the league's going to the last game of the season and that look, see throughout the season, Jim?
Yeah.
All Celtic have had in the boxing ring, as you would know, Simon, is a puncher's chance. That's all we've given ourselves. We sell two of our main strikers. We don't replace them. We sell too much quality over the last few years. This is a poorest squad. But Martin O'Neill's come in and gave us a puncher's chance. That's what we've had all season.
Which is fair. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's fantastic for your own argument about what you've had in the past. But I would still suggest to you that your squad... Hang on, I'm finished. That your squad probably still costs more money to assemble than Hearts' squad. So irrespective of whether you've got less of a squad and that you've sold your two best players or whatever you haven't have, on paper, I reckon the Celtic squad is still better than Hearts. And whatever your puncher's chance is, it's still a bloody good chance.
Of course it is, Simon, but I would just say this is that our fault, because you know this is fact, Jim. Celtic are in the position they're in because of the supporters. Nobody else. All these businessmen, how many have put their own money in to supporting Celtic other than shares? I've got money in Celtic.
Okay.
Do I?
No, you're good. You're a good fan, and there are many, many great Celtic fans. But we're getting off on a tangent here, Colin. The bottom line is, was it the right call to give a penalty kick at that time? So many calls coming in this. Colin, you've kicked it off brilliantly for us. Many more callers coming on to join us. 03717 223344.
Leeds, they had injuries. They weren't really at the races.
Oh, they should have won it, though. Leeds should have won it.
Yeah, because we fell apart. We fell apart, mate.
False that.
Yeah, but
don't blame Leeds. Don't having a proper West Ham.
I'm not blaming Leeds, but Leeds were there to get beat tonight. It wasn't a great performance from Leeds, right? But once we scored, we went 1-0 up, right? Yeah. And we fell apart. We were bottling it all over the park. No one had any bottle to get on the ball, to make a pass, to have some structure. There was no pattern of our play. Everything that De Zerbi's probably been working on with them just went completely out the window. Well, there's 11 players just out there hoping that something might happen.
I thought it was a good point. I thought it was a decent point, mate.
Is that what you're going to say for 2 hours? You're just going to say it's a good point?
Like, well, you could have come away with nothing. And I tell you what's worse, losing. That's worse.
I know, mate, but that's not a good point. We're at home. Out of the 3 games we got left, that's the easiest
How many
game.
points have you picked up this season at home?
I don't know. Not many.
Right, not many. So that's a good point.
I don't think we've won at home for 5 months. I know, but come on.
5 months? I've had a hair transplant. It's going to grow back. I'll have a hair transplant. It's going to grow back by the time you next win at home. That's how long it's been. I only had a hair transplant about 6 weeks ago.
Honestly, I don't know how I feel about that performance. What is Matthias Del doing? What?
Oh, it's a brilliant finish. What are you on about?
No, the goal's a great goal. What's he doing in his box? What is he doing? A bicycle kick.
Yeah.
A bicycle kick in your own box when you're in the bottom 3, when you can't see what's around you, and he's trying to do a bicycle kick. Honestly, what's he doing?
Can we just give
Everton? In the first half, he crossed one in, and it was a great...
talkSPORT's Jason Cundy's likened the Scottish Premiership to a pub league after one of the most controversial VAR calls we've ever seen.
If you're telling me with a straight face that that's the only camera angle we're ever going to see...
That is the only camera angle tonight we've been showed, yes, on Sky Sports.
That's dog and duck. That's dog and duck.
Handball given against Motherwell defender Sam Nicholson. Celtic converted the 99th minute penalty to win it. Derek McInnes called the decision disgusting. His Hearts side now need to avoid defeat at Celtic Park on Saturday to win the title. In the Premier League, Pep Guardiola was pleased to be able to rest half his team and keep the pressure on Arsenal by beating Palace 3-0, and told us players like Phil Foden are needed to unlock deep-lying defences.
When you arrive in the final third, the talent, and I've been so lucky. Have an incredible team, that incredible talent that help us to win games.
Foden's back heel to put one on a plate for Semenyo was the first of his 2 assists, but former City defender Danny Mills says it could be too little too late for Foden when it comes to his World Cup chances.
And also against a weakish Palace side. Does that really tell you what sort of form that he's in? Unfortunately for Phil, his form throughout the season probably hasn't been good enough to force into that England side.
Despite concerns about how Iran will get into the USA, their team was given a World Cup send-off by thousands of fans in Tehran. Iran's participation has been in doubt since the US and Israel launched airstrikes on the country, and Madonna, Shakira and South Korean boy band BTS will headline what will be the first ever World Cup final halftime show. It's being organised by Coldplay's Chris Martin.
Everybody, just gone 10:30 this Thursday morning, Thursday, May the 14th. It is Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT. Seldom have I seen a reaction like this here in this great radio station. My God, the place is reverberating to the number of messages, the number of calls that are coming in on 03717223344. It was down to 2. It is down to 2 in Scotland between Hearts and Celtic for the league title. Derek McInnes, Hearts, Martin O'Neill, Celtic. And last night, in the 99th minute of the game, Celtic were awarded a penalty kick under extremely dubious circumstances, it is fair to say. The kick was taken by Iheanacho, who dispatched it Of that, there is no doubt. Celtic won the game by 3-2. And now we go to the final day. The final day. Celtic must beat Hearts to win the title. Anything else, and Hearts will be champions. Hearts did their job last night by seeing off Falkirk by 3-0. But last night, the controversial awarding of this kick by referee John Beaton, who took just 20 seconds to award it when he stood in front of the screen. How did he come to that decision so darn quickly? That is the big question this morning. Was it the most controversial decision in Scottish football history? Bill is on the line. And Bill, I think you're a Celtic fan. Good morning. Where do you want to take me on this one?
Hi, good morning. Yes, I am a Celtic fan.
Morning, Bill.
And I'm probably in the minority. I don't think it was a penalty. But what it reminded me of was, do you remember Scotland-Wales at Anfield?
Yes. Joey Jones.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. And they came to the right decision that time. But
you don't think it was a penalty last night, Bill?
I don't think so. To be honest, no. But I've been checking things out this morning, and your man at Hearts will need to eat humble pie. He's saying the bias towards Celtic. I have in front of me the list of penalties this season. On top of that list is Motherwell with 8. Rangers have got 6, and Celtic have got 6.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Saying that there's a bias is ridiculous. Also, I just want to say, I think if we're going to keep VAR, we need to get ex-players involved in this. This is a disgrace. I mean,
I think Derek McInnes, I don't think he was suggesting there's a bias, Bill. He called it disgusting. He said everything's against us. But,
Okay,
but maybe if that had been given against Celtic, Martin might have said something similar.
I don't think Martin would have used the word disgusting, but he wouldn't have been happy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think he used the word disgusting instead of the word bias.
Celtic must beat Hearts, Bill, at the weekend. Thus far, in the 3 games previous, Hearts hold the advantage. 2-2 in January. Hearts won at Celtic in December. 3-1 Hearts in October. I mean, at the moment, the pointers are that Hearts could do this. Do you think in any way justice would be seen to be done, Bill, if Hearts come out on top?
Oh, now then, you're really putting me in the plot. Right, what I will say is, if they hadn't given the penalty and it finished 2 each, yeah?
Yep.
It would have meant we would have had to beat them by 3 clear goals.
Yes.
On Saturday.
Yeah.
Who was the last team to beat Hearts by 3 clear goals?
Must be Celtic. Is it, Bill?
The 22nd. Sorry, I'm a bit of an anorak.
It's a good call.
The 22nd of October.
Okay, listen.
2024.
2024. Bill, you've got your research done well there, mate, and it was a good call. Thank you for that. Raymond's another Celtic fan. Raymond, good morning. Where do you stand on this decision?
Well, I think Simon Jordan, to be honest, saying that managers should call it when something goes against them or something goes for them if it's wrong. Totally agree with that. I think players should do that. But Derek McInnes is probably the biggest Arsene Wenger style manager out. He gets everything going. Like, I mean, Shanklin scored the goal against. Didn't hear any complaints. You know, the guy needs to have a wee look at it.
Did you think it was the right decision last night, Raymond, to award Celtic a penalty?
To be honest, it could have went either way. If it's 40, it's 40. If it's not, they're not going to complain. But Maeda should have had a penalty.
I know. Coulda, shoulda. It's now down to a one-off against Hearts. Are you going to beat them?
Yeah, absolutely. We're at home. You know, we've got to take that advantage. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, listen, thanks for that. David, big Celtic fan, what do you want to tell us this morning? Good morning.
We need to wind down the hysteria, Joe. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it's not so ridiculous, David, when you consider what was at stake last night. Am I right? And if it had been a clear-cut penalty award, then yes. But it's far from that. You'd agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. I agree with Siobhan earlier that it was a penalty. It was a penalty. There's no doubt about it. His hand was up there, and it was a penalty kick.
And you can definitively say that?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to say that. I mean, we've got Arne McCoy talking about corruption this morning. His football club went down for corruption at the bottom division.
Well, no one's saying corruption. No one's saying corruption, David, but there is, without doubt, you could question the decision, could you not? Is that not fair to say?
Absolutely. And everybody complains about how long VAR takes to make a decision.
Yeah.
And now you're complaining they made the decision in 20 seconds. What do you want, Jim? Do you want the decision made quickly and correctly, or do you want them to just waste time?
Well, my argument is, to be honest, David, there should be accuracy over speed. Doesn't matter how long it takes, get to the right decision. And I do not see how John Beaton could definitively say that is a penalty kick.
Well,
in 20 seconds?
The only person who can answer that question is John Beaton.
Yeah.
And the SFA will let the referee speak to the press.
But by the same token, if it had taken 4 minutes, we'd be saying it's taken him 4 minutes to evaluate it. He can't have been certain from the get-go. I think it's a bad decision, but I think the caller's right. I think it suits the media, us, to ramp up the hysteria, to make more noise about it because it creates more noise and more headlines. But also Derek McGuinness has done that. I think all managers are guilty of amping it up. And if you truly want, honestly, as a footballing fraternity, put the fans side for 1 second.
Yeah.
The most valuable part of it, but the footballing fraternity being the players and the managers, and you truly believe that refereeing standards aren't to the level that you require of the game, then you have to be honest about good decisions and bad decisions. Otherwise, you'll never change it. You can't only be outraged when a decision goes against you. If you get a decision for you and you know it's a bad decision, but you don't call it, then you're part of the problem. So I do think I think they're right. I mean, they're obviously coming from a Celtic point of view, but I think they're right to say this isn't probably the worst decision that's ever happened in Scottish football. There is some amped up noise, helped by the Hearts manager, who probably at times has been the same as every other manager when something's gone his way and said nothing about it. But it all creates intrigue, and the big thing is that with all due respect to Celtic, people are desperate to see someone else win the SPFL than Celtic and Rangers.
That's why it could end up being the most controversial decision ever, because...
But Hearts have got to do their job.
Hearts are attempting to become the first club outside the Old Firm in 40 years to win the title.
They're always going to have to do their job. They were always going to have to defend themselves. I know there'll be a mindset situation saying that knowing going into the game they've got to win 3 is different from having to go into the game.
They would argue they did their job last night.
But they did their job, but they didn't do their job on a Saturday away to Motherwell. So, this was so they're going to, if they win this league, which I hope they do, then they can turn around and say we won it in the hardest way.
Yeah.
No one can take 1 second away from us.
And if they don't,
no one can ever turn around and say, "Oh, Celtic were weaker, Rangers were in flux." You went to Celtic Park and you won it on the last game of the season. Will be the stuff of legends.
And if they don't,
well, then they'll have to look at themselves for opportunities that they missed as much as an individual penalty. They'll be, if you go through the season,
you don't think they're going to point at this decision?
They may well do, but it doesn't make it right to do so. Over the course of the season, someone will win the league, and there'll be an equalising of bad decisions and good decisions. We talked about Celtic bias and how many, and a caller just came in and said, well, they've got less penalties than everybody else, so they can't be biased on penalties, can they?
Kev's a Rangers fan. You're going to give us a bias argument, Kev, are you? Where are you going to take us?
I'm afraid so, because as the season's gone on, more and more and more decisions have went Celtic's way, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Look at last weekend, for example. The challenge that Johnson put in, red card. The goal that they scored should be offside because he's blocking keeper's vision. Last night's penalty. It's a complete shambles. Scottish football just bows to them, and people don't call it out, and it's been happening for years.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Last night, an absolute joke.
Before we get to the next break, though, Kev, Rangers, and you're a Rangers fan, they've got their own problems to take care of.
Yeah. End of the day, Jim, I could sit here and wax lyrical about how bad we've been and how we're in the title race and they're a complete backside of it, but we're not good enough. That's the end of story. But that's taken away what we're on about today. Today we're on about the fact that Celtic are constantly getting the benefit of the referees. VAR is constantly protecting them. Again, like I said, the Old Firm game last week, Johnson's challenge, the offside goal, last night a penalty. Celtic this season have scored 14 goals in the 90 plus something minutes. And it's nothing to do with Celtic keep going. It's the fact that there's so much extra time and so much let's help Celtic out because they've had so many decisions go with them and VAR missed so many stuff.
This morning what I would put to you is this. You're alleging bias towards Celtic. Why would Scottish football want to be biased towards Celtic? Why would they want one dominant force? They wouldn't want that, surely.
That one, Jim. Well, you'd think not, but I mean, look at last night's handball. In the third minute of a 3 minutes extra of a game that had 5 minutes extra time, it was 99 minutes. How do you explain that one? And
I know what result you want at the weekend. When Celtic play Hearts, I know what result you want.
100%.
Yeah.
100% Hearts. 100%.
Do you think they'll do it?
Not just from a Rangers fan. No. And I hate saying it. It's not just from a Rangers fan. It's because take away that side of things. For the good of Scottish football, to have somebody else other than us or Celtic win the league for the first time in 40 years. First time in my life. I'm 40 tomorrow, and I've never seen a team other than Rangers Celtic win the league.
Okay, Kev, listen, thank you for that call. It's down to Hearts to see what they can do once they go to Celtic Park, which will be bouncing.
I think Hearts have got a stomach.
Yeah,
I think their most recent performance against Rangers illustrates that they can cope with big pressure, albeit Rangers are slightly in decline. I've got confidence in Hearts and their spirit.
Okay. We are coming up. We're just going through 11:15. A lot to get in this morning. Should managers indulge in sentimentality? We're going to get to that next. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Another developing story this morning coming out of Manchester United. Manchester United have reportedly reached out to other potential candidates, but wish to speak to Michael Carrick first. What do you read into that? Is the significant fact of that Carrick gets first dibs in speaking to those who will make the ultimate decision? Well, in other words, he's leading the way.
I find it strange how these things come out. Like, who is it leaking the fact that United have spoken or speaking to other candidates before they speak to Michael? I mean, it's bizarre, especially when you're talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world. Can they not do business? Can they not keep their own counsel? I find that a bit bizarre, but he's done really well. And, with the position they were in to where he's got them, you could argue he deserves another go at it and bring some players in the summer. And I wouldn't say that's a huge risk. The progression they've made under him, I'd give him another go. Yeah.
Yeah. Significant, Simon, that they want to speak to Carrick first.
Yeah, again, I don't know who's briefing in and whether it's coming from Carrick's side or whether it's coming from Man United's side as to the briefing in as to why Man United need. You can employ an England manager without anyone knowing about it, but they can't seemingly have a conversation amongst themselves without broadcasting it to the media. I don't understand why that is the case. I still think it's fraught with lots of questions that need to be asked and answered about the position of someone that becomes in moments of adversity. We've seen no moments of adversity for Carrick, really. He's done the job, so it makes it a conundrum.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
What a morning. My God, we're under siege here. It is 10 to 11. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. In Scotland, Hearts are aiming to be crowned champions for the first time in 66 years and end a 40-year Old Firm dominance period in the league. Celtic could somehow win the title, though, despite the departure of Brendan Rodgers and the mistake of Wilfried Nancy, and then the double appointment of Martin O'Neill. In the circumstances I've just described, Simon, whose title win would be more miraculous, if you like? McInnes and Hearts or Martins and Celtic?
Both will have equal merit attached to them. Martin will have galvanised a group of players that clearly didn't want to play for Wilfried Nancy. You had the beginning of a season where Brendan decided to set the place on fire with his own particular brand of vitriol and self-interest. And then Dermot Desmond came back and slapped him about. Fair play to Dermot, in my view. And then you've got Martin coming in, you know, and keeping things honest and even, although I don't think he was particularly honest about the penalty last night, and has produced an outcome that's made it competitive in the league, which is good for everybody. But my belief is that Hearts, coming from a position of trying to overcome such orthodoxy, irrespective of what's happened at Celtic, they're still a powerhouse. They've still got one of the best squads around in Scottish football, if not the best squad. And so with that in mind, I would, if Hearts go and win it at Celtic Park, it has to be a stuff of legends, because no one wins the SPFL besides these two Glasgow sides.
Yeah.
And they've come along out of the ether with Tony Bloom in the background. I mean, obviously, I think it's a big thing that you've got an Englishman come in there to have Scottish football get some sort of credence behind itself and get another club going. That would be my view on things.
Right.
Because it takes an Englishman to come and help you show how a football club should be run.
Okay, you're going too far now.
But I think
like a German with your national team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I take the point. But I think it's Hearts. If Hearts win it, I think the achievement would be more Hearts than it would be Celtics.
One player across the city. So that was happening last night. Motherwell were playing Celtic at Fir Park, Motherwell, which is in Lanarkshire, near enough to Glasgow. On the south side of Glasgow, Ibrox Stadium, Rangers were playing Hibs. Rangers out of it. It was a 3-horse race for a while. Then it went down to 2 with Hearts and Celtic. But Rangers are out of it. 2 players joined Rangers 11 odd years ago at the same time. James Tavernier and Martin Waghorn. Waghorn, long gone. James Tavernier will go at the end of this season. Tavernier wasn't named in the Rangers squad last night for what was due to be his farewell home match. The match was set to be his final goodbye to the fans after it was announced last month that he'd be departing the club this summer after 11 years there. But Tavernier was unhappy that he wasn't in the starting 11 and he withdrew from the squad altogether. Danny Rowe spoke about that situation post-match.
Today it showed me that we need a strong cut, strong changes to move forward. We cannot accept what we saw in the last 4 games. On Monday I got a call from the medical department that it's not available for Wednesday. He needs an injection on Tuesday. Then my job, because I thought, this is maybe his last chance to play at home. I give him a call. Yeah, the call was then okay. I convinced him that he can move this injection maybe later. He said, yeah, okay, he will be available for today. Yesterday we were in contact. And then finally, and I think this is also my job, to make decisions, who starts and who is up. I made my decision. I was very transparent with him. I thought and I wished him that he gets some minutes. You can think about start or not start. I think this is exactly my decision, because this is the reason why I'm the manager. And finally, he didn't accept that he will not start today, and then he stay away from the team.
Wow, I didn't realise that Danny Rowe had gone into such detail. I tell you what, though, Simon, he's got his reasons for not playing him from the start, but he said he would give him some minutes on the night. I can't really see much wrong in what Rowe is saying with his explanation there.
No, there's nothing wrong, but what he's using is a circumstance to make a bigger point, which is that the dressing room needs to be broken up. And here's an example of someone that's supposed to be a leader that exhibits this kind of characteristics when the world doesn't suit him, he drops hands and walks away, and he doesn't do what he's supposed to do. This is what our leadership looks like. This is the leadership problem we've got inside this football club. Now, the reality of it is, I don't think he needs to do it, because Tavernier is a thing of the past. He's already decided he's leaving the football club, so it's an easy thing to do, because there's no skin in the game for the manager to turn around and say, I can have a go at this player because he's not going to be part of it, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to use that angle to show what kind of manager I am, and I'm also going to use it to send a message that this is the culture we've got inside this football club, because he has said in another part of this conversation, or another conversation recently had, there is an issue inside this club and we need to break up certain people, and players need to be gotten rid of.
Yeah.
So he's using Tavernier to make an example about some of the status quo that he thinks needs to be changed.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't think he needs to do it. He wouldn't do it with a player that wasn't leaving. Now, it'd have more balls if the player was still going to be under contract and stay at the football club and say, this is what I'm not accepting, and I'm going to get these players gone, irrespective of whether they're under contract. Tavernier's gone. It's an irrelevance. He's gone. If we don't want to play, he's gone. And neither one of them are right, I think. The manager doesn't need to do it. He needs to do it internally, not externally. And the player should have just done what was asked of him. But the player's gone, I'm going anywhere, I couldn't care less anymore. And clearly I'm not part of the manager's plans, and clearly I've been marginalised. And in my last game at home, so the player's offended. He's taken offence at it.
Yeah.
Gone, I'm not going to go that extra mile. Well, that tells you what modern-day footballers really think when it comes down on top.
See, one-time captain or not, and 565 appearances for the football club or not. Tavernier decided, I'm withdrawing from the squad. Now, Rowe's got a job to do.
You've got to judge. Of course he has, but then he can do that job. He doesn't do that. What is the purpose of that? Unless there was a big interrogation as to the reason why Tavernier isn't playing, it could be easily said player wasn't fit. He chose not to. He chose to out the player. Why did he choose to out the player? Because was he under pressure from the media to explain why this individual player wasn't playing? When it's easily explained, he wasn't fit, right? But he chose to. So why did he choose to do it? He chose to do it because he wants to make the bigger point at the back end of this season that this group of players are not at it. They're not good enough. They're not leadership orientated. And here is a so-called leader. And this is what I'm dealing with, and this is what I need gone. And this is what I need. So he's used Tavernier, a player that's not staying there anymore, to make a point. I don't make him wrong for doing it. I don't admire it. I understand why he's done it. But if you look at it from management speak, if I was his chairman looking back on it, I'd go, pick a fight. If you want to pick a fight with someone, have some balls about you. Pick a fight with a player that's going to be here. If you want to make a point in the dressing room and you want to make a point to other people, pick it with someone that's meaningful. He's gone. You can't judge Dave Tavernier. I don't know the player. He's played 560 games for Rangers. You can't turn around and say that the one game that he's turned around and said he doesn't want to play in anymore to define him for the 559 that went previously.
Yeah.
So I understand the manager's point of view. I don't agree with him doing it.
Do you like Rowe?
I do.
Is he your kind of guy?
I think so. I told you before he went there that I liked him. I liked what his characteristics were. I said the Rangers have got a good one here, and Josh Windass came in, as who's having played for him, confirmed that. Not that Josh Windass is the zeitgeist for everything, right? But he's a reasonable reference point, given he's a sensible lad.
True.
And is playing at a decent club like Wrexham and knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with that, because I think there's a motivation. He's using Tavernier as a prop, and I don't agree with Tavernier failing and not doing what he should be doing, which is turning up when he's asked to.
Exactly. Anyway, Rangers aren't involved. It's down to Hearts and Celtic must beat Hearts to win the title. Anything else, and Hearts will be champions. Some end, isn't it? It's 11 o'clock.
James Corden is with us in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning, mate.
Good morning, James.
So happy to be here.
It's our pleasure. How are you?
I'm really well. Yeah, I'm very good.
Thank you for coming in.
It's a pleasure.
It's lovely. We've got so much to talk to you about.
For sure.
Before we talk about football, right?
Yes.
I was just going over old stuff that you've done, right?
Mm.
And I was watching with my producer Ollie this morning when you did the Sports Personality of the Year. I think it was 09, 07, I can't remember. It was nearly 20 years ago. And you stood up in front of everyone, right?
Yes.
You gave, as Smithy, you gave this massive speech.
Smithy won Coach of the Year.
And I said to the producer, He's got a good memory. Right? How nerve-wracking must that have been for you? Was that just insane? Did you have autocue on that? Or was that...
Well, yeah, no, there was a prompter, but the issue was with that is we shot that 8 minutes before they went live for Sports Personality, so we only had one. We could only do it once.
Yeah. From
the standing up in the crowd, the walking through, doing all the stuff. So also, we had to make sure that lots of people were in the audience, because at Sports Personality they all wait in this room before they go out, and we had to go up to like Freddie Flintoff, and what we had to say to him, we had to go, Freddie, we're going to do this thing. Don't laugh along,
okay?
Because it can't look like it's like a sort of roast monologue.
Yeah,
which is why Freddie's such a brilliant actor. Looks so angry in that we just make it.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan vans or head to your local Nissan van centre.
Well, your headlines at 2 minutes past 11. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. There's only one story in town. It's the VAR call that's rocked Britain. Here's Ali McCoist.
A horrendous decision that has effectively, I think, once again, embarrassed Scottish football.
With the Scottish title slipping away at Motherwell, Celtic were awarded a 99th minute penalty. talkSPORT's Shabana Hearn, whose specs are green-tinted, gives her take on Sam Nicholson's clearance.
He's clearly got his hand up on his forehead and the ball comes off the heel of his hand. That's all I can see.
Celtic's win means Hearts need to avoid defeat at Celtic Park on Saturday to take the title. Here's Simon Jordan.
And that referee shouldn't be anywhere near refereeing that game or any game in the immediate future because of that decision, because it's that bad a decision.
Now, south of the border, Arne Slot says he has every reason to believe he will be Liverpool manager next season, and Mo Salah should get a few minutes off the bench at Aston Villa, live on talkSPORT tomorrow. It seems Ben White's World Cup dream is over. His injury looks long-term, but Mikel Arteta says Jurrien Timber could be fit for the Champions League final. Meanwhile, Coldplay's Chris Martin has revealed more about that World Cup final with a little help from Elmo.
No, halftime show?
Yeah, halftime show.
A halftime show?
A halftime show.
What's a halftime show?
Well, there'll be a concert featuring Madonna, Korean pop band BTS and Shakira. It means the halftime lasting much longer than 15 minutes this summer. And Lee Westwood's told talkSPORT Breakfast he never enjoyed the PGA Tour and wouldn't go back even if Live Golf does collapse.
53 now, so there's seniors tours and I've still got exemptions on the European Tour if I chose to pay my fines.
The US PGA Championship gets underway from 11:40 UK time. That's about 35 minutes. Rory McIlroy tees off at 1:40 p.m. There's more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
All eyes on Minister Wes Streeting. We're about to find out if he'll quit and trigger a Labour leadership challenge. And the UK economy unexpectedly grew in March. Emma has more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 400 EV-ready centres across the UK, we're top of the league for electric car owners. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Cool and unsettled, sunny spells and showers. Heavier showers across central and southern UK. Thunderstorms as well. Breezy, coastal gales later in the far northeast.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Good morning, everybody. Thursday morning. Thursday means boxing from 12 onwards. Adam Smith, legendary boxing commentator, will join us live in studio. Spencer's up in Doncaster ahead of Dave Allen going in against Filip Hergovic. A lot coming your way. And we're just the boys to bring you it. A lot happening, of course, still in the Premier League. Who's going to win it, Arsenal or Manchester City? On Friday, all roads lead to Birmingham for Aston Villa against Liverpool. You can hear that one live on talkSPORT. We're going to be hearing from talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, who joins us live in just a second. But let's stop on this from this morning. Liverpool boss Arne Slot was asked outright and straight, can you tell us categorically you will be here managing Liverpool at the start of next season?
I don't think I'm deciding that alone on myself, but I have every reason to believe I'm the Liverpool manager next season. First of all, I'm contracted to this club, and second of all, from all the talks we are having. So yeah, that is my take on it. But as you said, if you don't have the best season, especially if you compare it with last season, if you compare it with other seasons, maybe you have a different debate. But if you compare it with last season, this has definitely not been a great season. Then it's also normal that criticism comes. And I think we've all had our share.
Alex Groot joins us live. Simon's alongside me. Of course he is, Alex. Categorically, I don't think Slot could tell us categorically that it'll be there, Alex. I don't know what you made of it.
Well, I think he's right. It's ultimately not going to be his decision. Obviously, he wants to carry on as Liverpool manager. I've said all along that from conversations I've had with well-connected sources at Anfield, there hasn't been any sign of any desire to change manager. I think the hierarchy are aware, as Arne Slot points out himself, that it's not been a great season. It's been quite a poor defence of the Premier League title, but they would point to mitigating circumstances. I think the Liverpool board, not least the tragic passing of Diogo Jota at the start of the season. I don't think we can have any serious and sensible conversation about Liverpool's campaign without factoring that in. Obviously, they paid big money for Alexander Isak. He's been injured more often than he's been fit, so he needs a good pre-season to hit the ground running next year. Florian Wirtz, I think, has shown in patches what a good player he is, but is still coming to terms with the Premier League. Milos Kerkez hasn't done as well as I expected him to do, having watched him at Bournemouth. So a lot of the signings haven't worked out so far. Then you factor in the demise of Mo Salah. Ibrahima Konate, I think, has had a really poor season. And Virgil van Dijk hasn't been great either. So there's been a lot that's gone against Liverpool. Ultimately, they are still going to finish in the top five. They're going to be playing in the Champions League next season. They're going to reinvest in the squad. I do think Arne Slot has to start next season well, not necessarily to keep his paymasters happy, although they're going to want to see improvement, but to try and win around those Liverpool fans. We all heard the reaction last week when he took off young Rio Ngamoa. That was a loud chorus of boos from the majority of the stadium.
I mean, Simon, I think Alex is right. We've got to put the whole thing into context. There's a lot of nuance, to use one of your favourite words, around this situation with
nuance
Slot.
in every circumstance, and I, in any shape or form, do I want to be disrespectful or diminish the tragedy? I don't think you can allow that to be the narrative. That's the reasons why Liverpool haven't been successful this season. It's part of a situation, but I think the players have to take responsibility as to the manager for the lack of performance. People do have to, move on with their lives, and they brought new players in that weren't part of that equation. People haven't performed. The manager hasn't performed. The team has changed the way it plays, or been caught out in terms of I thought what Danny said yesterday was the most insightful observation about the way the Anfield crowd expect Liverpool to play, and they haven't played that way. Now, I think the same thing will apply for Slot, as played for Brendan Rodgers a few years ago. If you remember when Rodgers was taken out, the fans were gone against Rodgers at the end of that season, and he lasted until about October. Then they brought Klopp in, didn't they? If my memory serves me correctly. And I think that if this manager doesn't start well, and regain some poise and some degree of belief from sections of the Anfield support base, then he'll be gone. But I think he has the right to have an opportunity. He won the Premier League. I don't think currency should stay with you in perpetuity, but I think it does give you some credence. And people will make the argument that it was Klopp's team, but Klopp's team didn't win the league. They didn't win the league the previous season, so with due respect, he still had to manage these charges.
Yeah.
So I think that he deserves the right to lay a glove on the beginning of next season. And I think if he doesn't start the first 10 games with some degree of panache and outcome, then I think he'll be replaced. Depending on, of course, who's available in the marketplace for him to be replaced by.
Sure, of course. So from Simon, and I would agree with it, I think we will definitely see Slot in situ at the start of the season. Is it going to be the same thing at Old Trafford regarding Michael Carrick, Alex? Omar Barada, the United chief executive, and Jason Wilcox, the director of football, appear to have made their minds up, or have they?
I think they have. We reported this on our Friday show a couple of weeks ago now that Michael Carrick was in the box seat. That appeared to be the direction of travel, that talks would get underway imminently in terms of turning his short-term appointment into a permanent deal. I expect that to happen now. There's an executive committee meeting scheduled to take place before the weekend, at which the two guys you mentioned there, Barada and Wilcox, we understand will recommend Michael Carrick for the job to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Now, he could overrule that and decide that maybe he wants to go for a more glamorous appointment, but I don't necessarily think those are available at the moment. If Thomas Tuchel hadn't signed his new England contract, then maybe there could have been a problem for the FA, because I think certainly in Ratcliffe's eyes, he would have been a top target. That isn't going to happen now. There was talk of Andoni Iraola. I'm told that was a little bit over-egged in terms of him being a serious contender for the role. And you look at what Carrick has done, he's beaten everybody around them in terms of the top 5 or 6 in the league. They guaranteed Champions League football. They're pretty much guaranteed to finish third. So he would say there's not much more that I could do. And I think actually these conversations, when they do start with a hierarchy and Michael Carrick, are not necessarily about his suitability for the role. It's about what a deal could look like in terms of obviously wages, will there be any bonuses for the fact he's got them in the Champions League, and how long will the contract be? I think that will be really interesting, because the big narrative around Carrick has always been, well, they've been down this road before with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think that's a little bit unfair on Carrick. I think he needs to be treated as an individual and not necessarily compared to his former teammate. I think his side of the bargain, they'll push for a 3-year contract, and it'll be up to United to see whether they're willing to do that.
I'll get Simon's take on this in a second. Rio Ferdinand was on breakfast, Alex. He said this on Carrick.
He's earned the right to get an opportunity to manage Manchester United. We have to remember that Michael Carrick was brought into the football club, and Man United were 15th in the league. And people were going, you know what, I just hope he keeps us out of the relegation battle. I hope we just stay up now. Be happy to stay up. He's taken us to third convincingly, and we were looking closer to second than anywhere near the relegation pack, right? So it's just on that merit alone, he deserves an opportunity. And I get the questions are, there's going to be more games next season. So you just have to work that out. He's worked the opportunity to work that out. That's not a stick to beat him with, I don't think. Give him the opportunity.
It seems to me they've almost kind of stumbled upon Carrick, Simon. We need to do something. Michael Carrick, let's see how he does. He's done well.
Yeah, maybe. I think this Michael Carrick's managerial career doesn't start as Man United manager until he's given a full-time job, and then we'll see. Then we'll find out whether he can really do it, because it's not about that false premise that Rio Ferdinand just created, that false narrative. That's a straw man argument. There were very few people that expected Man United to be in a relegation battle. The bottom line is that if you put that as a precursor, then you give Carrick all the credence that he deserves. Of course he can't do any more than he's done. He's beaten everybody. He's put them where they're third in the league, put them where perhaps arguably they should have been in the first place under Amorim. So Amorim's failings amplifies Carrick's successes. And the interesting thing for me will be exactly how that plays out. Why Manchester United are incapable of managing the flow of information to the media, or seemingly wanting to court the media, is beyond me. These are grown-up, significant individuals. They don't need to be having conversations or leaking information or alluding to the fact that Barada and Jason Wilcox are leaning this way or that way. This should all be in-house. A decision should be made, and then ultimately it should be announced in the same way that the bloody England manager was announced by the FA. The FA are useless, can't find it, incompetent. They can manage the appointment of arguably the biggest job in English football, the England manager's job, and no one knew it was coming. Man United seem to want to brief in everybody every single step of the way. I don't understand it. I know it's an entertainment business. It's part of the intrigue. This is a big decision. This is not about getting it right in the short term and having a bit of validation about getting into the Champions League. Yeah. This is Manchester United's share price. True. This is Manchester United's value. This is Manchester United's performance going forward. This group of people, Barada, they get it wrong this time round. Where do they go? They were the ones that orchestrated Amorim. They're the ones that are behind Brailsford. Not Brailsford. They're the ones behind Ashworth. Had to get him joke. Right? So they've got to make sure that this guy has got the chops not to waste Manchester United's time. And in the last 15 games, of course, Ferdinand is right. There's nothing else he could do. But that does not mean when it comes on top and Man United are back in the mindset of their fans about able to win leagues and compete in the Champions League, that he's going to be able to do it. And we're only going to find out now when he becomes the manager, because right now he's in this lovely little ether of, if it didn't work out, it was Amorim's fault. If it does work out, it's wonderful.
Right.
He can't lose. He couldn't lose.
Yeah.
He can lose next season, though.
Alex, we'll finish with this. In less than 10 days now, Southampton have got a Championship playoff final at Wembley. They're up against Hull. Southampton announced tickets for the playoff final that they go on sale tomorrow, and then deleted the post. Now, in the advent of Spygate, what do you think? Are they confident here, or have they gone a bit early and been too presumptuous?
Well, that's certainly got imaginations running wild, because obviously the obvious assumption is they fear for their place in the playoff final, and therefore they're not going to sell the tickets for it. The official explanation is that they needed to put tickets on sale at the same time as Hull. I think that's going to happen now tomorrow, so we will wait and see. I think the onus is really on the EFL here to get a definitive verdict from the Independent Commission as soon as possible, because it is a ridiculous scenario. What did Middlesbrough do? Their players are back at their training ground today for a sort of debrief after that semi-final second leg. I think the plan is for them to start training again tomorrow in preparation for the fact they could yet be at Wembley final. We've all seen the images of Will Salt, the young intern at the training ground with his mobile phone, seemingly recording a training session. That is quite damning evidence. And I think the suspicion from Middlesbrough is that some of the hierarchy at Southampton were aware of what was going on. This is not an isolated incident. They've spied regularly on opponents over the course of the season. If that is proven to the independent panel, I think the EFL have got a massive
Some of the hierarchy being who? I mean, first of all, this qualified the ridiculous decision. It's only a ridiculous set of circumstances because of Southampton's behaviour, and not because of the EFL having. I mean, EFL are in between a rock and a hard place. They're having to contend with something they know is going to be challenged by somebody, and they've got to get a panel convened to be able to come out with a very quick verdict that someone's going to challenge either Middlesbrough or Southampton. So it's not done and dusted in that situation. But when you talk about the idea that there's senior management being suggested in this, who are you talking about? Are you talking about football management, or are you talking about executives?
Well, I think the idea that this guy has acted as some kind of lone wolf, as has been suggested
that's
as a
crock,
defence,
isn't it? Everyone knows it's
fanciful.
Yeah.
I think Middlesbrough certainly believe that Tonderecker is in on this, and obviously he's had numerous opportunities to deny any involvement. He hasn't done that. I thought it was quite ironic. The Southampton head of communications halted a press conference after the game and accused the journalist of lacking respect, because obviously it's far from respectful.
Well, he asked him if he's cheated.
On opponent.
He asked him if he had cheated, didn't he? And so they thought the language. That's the media guy's job, isn't it? You're not going to allow that conversation to go on. But where are you, Alex? I don't think there's a parallel universe in this life or the next that Southampton, and they're going to be found guilty, no doubt in my mind, are going to be booted out of this championship final. There's no doubt in my mind that's not going to happen.
That they won't be booted out.
No chance.
Even though there's guilt abounding.
No chance.
It opens a whole can of worms, doesn't it? Because Simon's right. If Southampton are found guilty and the sporting sanction is they don't take their place at Wembley, they will counter-challenge that. Does that put the playoff final in doubt? Does it maybe have to be moved from a week on Saturday? And also, who benefits from that? Is it automatic that Middlesbrough get their place in the playoff final? Or if they are proven that they've spied on opponents throughout the season, do other teams who may have lost to Southampton and therefore missed out on a place in the playoffs, Wrexham, for example, a heavy defeat, do they then jump in on the act? I think it's a massive can of worms. I would expect a heavy fine, potentially, if there's still an EFL club, a points deduction for the start of next season. I don't think, like Simon, the EFL have the gumption to throw them out of the playoffs.
Okay, Alex, thank you very much indeed. It's my understanding that Southampton, the hierarchy today, will be in discussion with the lawyers. No surprise there. But no matter what, whatever comes their way, and if it goes against them, they will fight it very, very hard. It's 11:20.
to be a fun run. I mean, with the Premier League, I think it really is in our hands now. I can't see us giving it away with our remaining fixtures, especially Burnley at home next Monday night, which I will be going to.
Kurt, I feel as well, Man City will drop points. I really believe it. Bournemouth away. Irio's last game, home game of the season, and they're fighting for Champions League. That's a tough game for Man City.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. If obviously Aston Villa go and win the Europa League final, doesn't that open up
sixth place? Yeah.
Yeah. So Bournemouth have got it all to fight for.
Because Brighton have got 2 winnable games behind them as well, so they know they probably need 2 wins. Bournemouth.
Yeah, Brighton have been in great form as well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But guys, I've got to tell you, and I know you guys have probably already been told, but a lot of rival fans listening to this are going to think I'm crazy. I actually, a few weeks ago, had Mikel Arteta's face tattooed on my forearm.
No,
I don't believe you.
I really have. It's on my TikTok page. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name of it, am I?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, so if for anyone listening, it's called Arsenal.overflow. And yeah, you'll find it on TikTok. It's pinned at the top of my profile. I had Mikel Arteta's face tattooed alongside Thierry Henry and Emirates Stadium in the background because I do believe in this man. I do believe he is the one that's going to get us over that line, get us the trophies. And once these come in this season, I think we're just going to keep on going. Then I think the next couple of seasons we'll continue winning a lot more silverware.
Chris O'Dowd! When you get the offer to be the voice of a sheep...
Yes, you can only dream, really.
Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser! Well, how much of Rip does your husband in real life have about him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's a man.
He's a dude. Kirsty and Phil!
Can we talk about one other thing?
We can talk about loads of things. It's an interview.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning.
Thursday morning, we'll talk boxing from 12 noon. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Simon, over in Spain, an awful lot of finger pointing at Real Madrid. What's going on within that club? And what on earth is going on with the billionaire owner, the president, Florentino Perez? Has he lost the plot, or has he really gone full Donald Trump? The reason I ask is this. After a second consecutive trophyless season, Florentino Perez called a surprise press conference at Real's training ground. So the great and the good from the media in Spain all gathered. He gets on his feet and he says, "I'm sorry to tell you that I'm not going to resign." So more than a hint of sarcasm from Perez, he called for fresh elections, saying he intends to stand again. He says, if somebody wants to stand against me, let them stand, but don't move in the shadows. Then there have been all sorts of rumours, Simon, that he was ill. Some people have said that I have terminal cancer. I'm still the president of Real Madrid and my company. I'm the president of a company which is a world leader in infrastructure and has 170,000 employees, makes 50 billion euros per year. Yeah. My health is perfect. Yeah. This is an orchestration led by bad journalists against Real Madrid, and I will put a stop to it. He hints towards, I just think of Trump when he called out a female reporter, Piggy. I think he referred to that particular individual. When a female journalist present wanted to ask a question of Perez, he said, "You see that girl?" And then he, for goodness sake, although he didn't say that, he says, "She's got every right to speak her mind, but, oh, gee, you're all ugly, bloody ugly, for goodness sake." I mean, what on earth is he on about?
Yeah, I mean, is he? I mean, you're all ugly. It's not you're all ugly in terms of the underlying insinuations. For people to turn around and say, to infer that you've got a terminal disease is an ugly thing to do, isn't it? You know, when people make those sort of observations about your health, he might have been referring to that. I might be giving him too much latitude there, but it's, you know, it is right if in his own mind he doesn't like, I suspect, and I'm trying to insert myself into his way of thinking, being questioned about the efficacy of his leadership, his capabilities.
And that comes with the role, doesn't it?
Of course it does, but when you bring someone's health into it, it's disrespectful. I remember being absolutely insulted by Tyson Fury. So with that in mind,
we'll lose that one.
I think that there's a reaction from him about his health. He is a very successful businessman, and one of the reasons why the deal with the Saudis was in part, to some extent, behind some of the thinking behind the European Super League was because of his steel deals and his infrastructure business.
But he's out of touch, Simon. He'll take questions from men, but maybe not women. I mean, there were two articles in ABC.
Is that what he's
he said that ABC were criticising Real Madrid. One of the articles was written by a woman who he says, I don't even know if she knows anything about football.
But that may be the case, and it might just be unfortunate. It's a bad article. It might be a bad article written by a woman that doesn't know much
these
about
days
football.
you're in dodgy ground if you come
I know you are on dodgy ground, but you can't just be, you know, we live in fear of saying the wrong thing. If you don't agree with something, then people will say, oh, it's because you're a misogynist, or because you're a homophobe, or because you're Islamophobic, or whatever it is that people want to qualify you as so they can defeat your argument. Was it bad articles? Are they inaccurate? Do they know what we're talking about? Because I think some of the time, some of these people are getting away with saying things that they don't have the substance to say. And unfortunately, they can hide behind the fact that, oh, it's because you picked on me because I'm a woman. No, I picked on you because you weren't very good. It just happens to be that you are a woman. And it might be that. Now, if that's not the case, then he deserves to be pulled up for it. If she's written bloody good articles and she's a very good journalist, then he should be pulled up for that.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily race to assume that because somebody criticises somebody, people get an excuse from getting out from underneath of what actually they've said or done, and they haven't been very good, I think is very important.
But they were lining up for him the other day, Simon. I mean, for example, the Super League and Real Madrid, as you know, were in the vanguard of that.
They were.
And regarding his failed ambitions for a European Super League, he comes away with, well, let children in Africa have free football. What on earth does he mean? I mean, you know, at the end of the day, is it not a case that he's got to put his hands up on certain things and say, look, things haven't gone the way I was predicting they would have gone.
Context is everything, right? But ultimately, the revenues that are generated from the game will go to far-flung parts of the world, and that may be his point. I don't know. But the bottom line is that he's a highly successful man, and Madrid, he's in the eyes of a storm because Madrid have had 2 trophyless seasons. And so with that in mind, he has to take that at what it is and try and resolve it. But he's decided that the best form of defence is attack. And I can, in a very small way, relate to that sort of attitude, which is every time I had a press conference, I would sit in front of the journalist and go, yeah, I know, it's manager number 27. Because you know what the narrative is, you know what the agenda is, you know what the focus is, and it is there and it is real. And if you've been on the other side of it, and the scale that he's on the other side of it will amplify it. If you have been there, you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean. So in that instance, I get it. I get his point of view. And the only way to overcome it is to be right and to be better and to take the consequences of the situation surrounding your presidency of Real Madrid. You've had 2 trophyless seasons and you've got to own it. And that's the reality. And if you had won things, you wouldn't be having these conversations.
Right.
So you take all the glory. You're the architect behind the idea that don't have to send their players to the Ballon d'Or. You're the architect behind that sort of culture that suggests that you're so bleeding important. So you get this arrogance that goes with Real Madrid, that they are the club of the country. You're the architect that probably was behind the idea that the municipality could buy the training ground or the wasteland next to the stadium for 100 million to get you to qualify for the Champions League. All of that. We see these guys. We see the other guy that comes on every now and again. What's his name? Corden that comes on. They're very strong characters.
Yeah.
And that club is very, very... I don't like to use the word arrogant because I hate that word because it's a diminishing word. But they're very entitled. And they're very self-assured of their own position because they are the club of the country.
And it's no coincidence. It's a second trophyless season for Real Madrid, the club that he is presiding over.
Yeah.
And then he has a swipe at Barcelona. Of course he does, because he couldn't resist it.
Yeah.
Barcelona, allegations that payments were made by Barcelona to former Spanish Referees Committee Vice President Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira.
Yeah.
To which he says, we've discovered for the past 3 years that we've been facing an unprecedented case of corruption. The biggest scandal in history, the Negreira case. The referees from that era are still officiating competitions such as La Liga. Barcelona hit back and said, listen, Perez, we inform you that our legal department is carefully studying your words and your accusations.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll make a billionaire's knees knock.
He's swiping at everybody, though, Perez, isn't he?
Of course he is.
It's because of the position they're in.
Of course it is. And people are thin-skinned. And people
thin-skinned? See, we didn't think you lot were thin-skinned.
But they are. Of course they are, because they're human beings. He's
got billions. Why on earth is he
That doesn't
thin-skinned?
insulate from the fact that people don't like criticism. Some people can take it better. Everybody responds badly to criticism. Some people are able to contain it and hold it a bit better.
Did you?
Well, it depends if it's fair. If it's honest. If it's fair criticism, you hold your hands up and go, I tell you what, the best way to beat an argument is to agree with it. If someone presents you an argument and you actually agree with the principles of it and you know you can't defend it, agree with them, it shuts them up.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. What are they going to do? Pull out now then? I agree with you. You're absolutely not good enough. Where are they going to go with that then? Because they can't go anywhere with it. So if you just start to defend it and push back against it and go whataboutery, then you give that person who's presenting with the argument the opportunity to pull at bigger balls of string. The best way to deal with an argument is to agree with it if it's right. If it's wrong, if someone has got a different agenda and they're doing it for a different motivation and it's not objective and it's not fair, then by all means take these jumped up little pencil necks to task and put them in their place. The people that have never actually done anything, only written about what other people have done.
Is that how you viewed me when I had a go at you, when you served a written Ian Dowie?
Very much.
Very much so.
Very much.
You called me a pipsqueak. It's 11:30. Ben White is to miss the rest of Arsenal's season and is set to be ruled out of the World Cup. A suspected knee ligament injury for Ben. He picked it up on Sunday. I think it was a 50-50, wasn't it? With Somerville of West Ham. Now, up until now, Tuchel has ignored Trent Alexander-Arnold since his move to Real Madrid this summer. Could it be goodbye Ben and hello Trent? What do you think?
My gut feeling is Tuchel just doesn't fancy Trent, no matter who's fit or not, to be honest, from a defensive point of view. That's how it feels. The recent squad, he had, 36, and he didn't put him in, so I don't see why I'd be putting him in now.
You think he's decided he's not going to be featured?
It feels that way.
Yeah.
I might be completely wrong, but
no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be going. It's a shame for Ben White because he seems to be in the good books for Tuchel, and he's just started to get his form back a little bit, playing regularly because Timber's injury. He's decent player.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know Gary Neville had a little criticism of the way he made that tackle. I kind of make him right in a way, but the problem you've got now, because I missed the final once by dangling a leg. Rio come through me hard, Rio Ferdinand, the way it leads it was. And I did my ligaments, missed the final because of it. And I look back on the tackle and think, yeah, I should have gone in full tilt. Problem you've got now with the way the rules are, especially with the follow-through rule, even if you go in full tilt and you do get the ball, but you catch someone on the way through,
and you get a red card.
Yeah, it actually encourages you to be a bit more tentative.
So what is it when you're going in fairly committed, but don't end up truly?
talkSPORT's Jason Cundy's likened the Scottish Premiership to a pub league after one of the most controversial VAR calls we've ever seen.
If you're telling me with a straight face that that's the only camera angle we're ever going to see...
That is the only camera angle tonight we've been showed, yes, on Sky Sports.
That's dog and duck. That's dog and duck.
Handball given against Motherwell defender Sam Nicholson. Celtic converted the 99th minute penalty to win it. Derek McInnes called the decision disgusting. His Hearts side now need to avoid defeat at Celtic Park on Saturday to win the title. In the Premier League, Pep Guardiola was pleased to be able to rest half his team and keep the pressure on Arsenal by beating Palace 3-0, and told us players like Phil Foden are needed to unlock deep-lying defences.
When you arrive in the final third, the talent, and I've been so lucky. Have an incredible team, that incredible talent that help us to win games.
Foden's back heel to put one on a plate for Semenyo was the first of his 2 assists, but former City defender Danny Mills says it could be too little too late for Foden when it comes to his World Cup chances.
And also against a weakish Palace side, does that really tell you what sort of form that he's in? Unfortunately for Phil, his form throughout the season probably hasn't been good enough to force into that England side.
Despite concerns about how Iran will get into the USA, their team was given a World Cup send-off by thousands of fans in Tehran. Iran's participation has been in doubt since the US and Israel launched airstrikes on the country, and Madonna, Shakira and South Korean boy band BTS will headline what will be the first ever World Cup final halftime show. It's being organised by Coldplay's Chris Martin.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Never a better morning for Sean Martin from BetMGM to be joining us, looking at some of the top sporting events and discuss the odds round and about them. So, Mr. Sean Martin, Celtic fanatic Sean Martin, pen or no pen?
Morning, lads. Nice quiet night up here last night. Absolutely no controversy at all. I don't know what
you just have a quiet one, did you? Any friends in? Nice social evening.
We will address it head on, shall we? I don't shirk it. Funnily enough, right, I was having a wee moan yesterday afternoon to a colleague of mine who'd asked about the game, and basically I was moaning, funnily enough, about the third part camera angles having previous for being awful for VAR calls, and I think that's once again taking centre stage here, because does it hit his hand? It looks like it does. Plenty don't think so, but that's almost not really the central issue, because to me it's that yet again it wasn't given on the pitch. So without better angles available, what's VAR there for? What's the referee looking at on the screen is the question. Is it this single angle that we've all seen? Because if it is, then the question then is this really the best that we can do with VAR as a product up here after 3-4 seasons, Jim? It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now obviously the emotional reaction to the decision one way or the other is only natural, same as if it didn't get given, I suspect, on replays, but especially where people do want to see the fairy tale of Hearts winning it, so very much about when and in what game the decision was made as much as the decision itself. I think Gary Lineker obviously gave everyone a nice wee hook by calling it the worst decision of all time, but with all due respect to him, and I don't know if you agree or disagree, but that's also very much a tell me you don't watch Scottish football without telling me you don't watch Scottish football type of thing, because you take the emotion, or try and take the emotion and potential consequence out of it. That decision in isolation, same as the penalty earlier in the game, the handball, Motherwell Hearts game at the weekend, Ibrox the week before, it's part of a litany of strange decisions with red cards and handballs this season, previous ones. To me, it does come back down to the standard of officiating and this almost Timu version of VAR that we've got up here. I heard the news saying a watered down version. I think that's what it is, and that's what it's been since we got it. It's not like down south that you guys are used to, with umpteen cameras, angles, tracking all the players, all that stuff. That's maybe why it took them 20 seconds at the monitor if there was only one angle, Jim. I'm very, very curious. I don't know if you know any better, if the officials had any other footage that can clear it up properly, because if not, it is soft, and I just think it reinforces there is still a major issue.
Well, that's the thing, Sean. Could Beaton actually say definitively that it was a penalty kick? Now, you're better at deflecting this morning than even Martin O'Neill. So, putting all emotion aside, Sean Martin, penalty or no penalty?
Well, see, this is the thing, right? 'Cause no, I will answer it. I said it was soft already, but I heard you on with the caller earlier on. I can't remember if his name was Colin, maybe. And you basically says to him, if this was 2-1 Celtic and it get given at the other end,
that's right.
then what would your reaction be? And I thought, what if he asked me that? So this is where I consider myself relatively consistent, or at least as consistent as I can be. And I still think I would say it the same way, that it's soft, but that the issue with it is the VAR and how it's been used to decide it, not whether or not I think it hit his hand, if you get me.
Right. Okay, Sean. Where are we at then with the odds for this all-important game, Celtic against Hearts?
Yeah, I mean, look, the upshot in terms of the odds, apart from the fact that I didn't have to phone in a sickie today, as it goes to a final day shootout at Celtic Park on Saturday. Celtic 11-20 to win the title in the outright market, and the same price obviously to win the game itself, because they do need to win to win the title. Hearts 27-20 to win the title. They can do that by either winning or drawing the game. The draw is 16-5. The Hearts win on Saturday just over 4-1. And I think, to be fair, if Hearts can put kind of midweek emotion to one side and almost not think about the history aspect of becoming the first side outside of Celtic and Rangers since Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen in 1985 to win the Scottish top flight, then you've got to say Celtic again did not look great last night, and Hearts looked good after a shaky start. They're unbeaten, Jim, against Celtic this season, 1-2, drawn 1, and that includes a win at Parkhead, albeit the great qualifier that I mentioned a few times is that was under Wilfred Nancy. Beyond that, I said to you guys yesterday, Hearts fans of a certain vintage will be on for some catharsis, having infamously lost the title on goal difference to Celtic in '86. The other side of the coin, my side of the coin, so to speak, I keep referencing that Celtic 07-08 team, won all their last 7 games, overhauled a deficit, won the title. Martin O'Neill on the brink of repeating what Gordon Strachan did with that team if he wins here. And also, I don't know if you heard him, but he mentioned it a couple of times last night in interviews. He's got his own ghosts to exercise in a way as well, because final season at Celtic, Jim, his first final season at Celtic, you remember back in 05, he needed to win the final day to take the title, lost to Motherwell, the title went to Rangers, Helicopter Sunday, it's called. So beyond just this game, there are so many narratives at play. You could argue it's the biggest Scottish game in decades, essentially.
It is, isn't it? The biggest Scottish game in decades. Sean's right.
Well, it's engaged. I mean, ultimately, it's engaged so many people more in this situation than previously would have been the case, because people, I'm not suggesting this is the end game to have the English press being focused on it as we are, but it is that level of intrigue. So, I mean, listen, my position is very clear. I hope Hearts go and do it. And I think they will deserve it, having to go to Celtic Park. I think it's very easy to say they've got to play the game, not the occasion. Because if they play the game, they'll beat this team. They're better than Celtic. They've been better than Celtic. The heads to tell that. They're top of the league, Celtic are not. So they've been better than Celtic most of the season. So with that in mind, if they play the game and not the occasion, which is easily said and done because you haven't got 58,000 rabid Celtic fans screaming at me, then they'll get a result like this game.
Okay, let's move on to Dave Allen against Filip Hergovic. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, if I can very quickly indulge myself just a wee bit more. First of all, I've got the chance, Simon. I watched the Corden, I watched the fight, and I watched the post-fight. I thought he did very well in amongst it for Wardley and Dubois. I know you speak to boxers and trainers all the time, but in that very specific context, how did you find being right in the thick of things as a big fight fan? Did you enjoy it? Would you do it again?
Not sure about doing it again scenario, but notwithstanding that, it's a great opportunity. If you're a kid growing up loving boxing like I did, and you get an opportunity to be involved in the heavyweight championship of the world, irrespective if you're designed to be a little bit of a provocateur, then you do it. I mean, it's a difficult one because with respect to Daniel, it's not his forte. Fabio can talk the hind legs of a donkey. He's brilliant. It's first class. He's a first class individual, first class fighter, and deserves all the props for his build up to the fight, his achievements as a fighter, and ultimately, even though he's lost, he deserves maximum respect. But Daniel did his talking in the ring. And that's what he wanted to do. Daniel's not built for those sort of things, so it makes it a very difficult conversation to have when you're having it with yourself. But it was fun to do, and it was a fabulous fight. You know, albeit the brutality of the fight to some extent overshadows it, and the questions that abound about whether he should have been taken out and the damage done to Fabio for the later part of his career are all parts of the intrigue. But Daniel Dubois' performance, Don Charles' coaching and training, and the outcome was remarkable, given that the suggestions were Daniel couldn't cope when it comes on top.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that from 12. Adam Smith's going to be with us. So Allen against Hergovic. What do you think?
Yeah,
John?
I mean, Dave Allen, biggest sporting event Doncaster has ever seen, I think he called it. He's 11-2 underdog to crown that with a win for the home fans. Hergovic is 8-1 on to hand Allen his 9th professional loss. The big Croatian beating Joe Joyce and David Adderley since losing to Daniel Dubois, funnily enough. Both of those went to distance. It's 31-20 for him to make it a hat-trick of decision wins over British fighters on Saturday. The weird thing, or the funny thing, or the curious thing I've got with Dave Allen, over and above the fight itself, though I'm curious actually if you think he's got a better chance than the odds suggest, Simon, it's also just like, what does the next year or so look like for him? Because he's building a bit of a career outside the ring. He's still fighting, keeps his name out there, but you're kind of thinking, how long will that stay a draw if he loses again? And
well, he's a wonderful personality, and if you look at him for this fight, it's a very different animal from the fight against Makhmudov. He's got a jawline. He's as lean as he's ever been. It's interesting because Don Charles couldn't have been, when I had him on the Talk Boxing on Tuesday, was absolutely copper bottom in believing that Dave Allen's going to win this fight, not because he was being facetious, but because he really believes that the output opportunity for Dave Allen to work the body of Hergovic, because don't forget, Don Charles trained Daniel Dubois to beat Hergovic, so he knows what he's going in against, and he picked Dave Allen to win this fight. And if he wins this fight, opens up a whole raft of opportunities for Dave Allen, because all of a sudden he catapults him into conversations about fighting Deontay Wilder, where he gets paid. So, and if Dave Allen loses and he doesn't continue to box, what a pundit we'll have.
Yeah.
What a media pundit
true.
we'll
He's
have.
terrific. He is terrific. Do you want to tell us about the darts night 15 in Birmingham? What do you think, Sean?
I do, yeah. Penultimate night of the regular season it is, Jim. 2 spots available for finals night still at the O2 on the 28th of May. Luke Littler won again last week. He's now one nightly win away from a record 7 in one season. He set the record last year with 6. It's been a Luke versus Luke final the past 2 weeks. It won't be this week because they're in the same half of the draw. And Littler actually plays second place Johnny Clayton in the quarters tonight as well. Gerwin Price and Luke Humphries in the driving seats at the moment for the 2 playoff spots. Michael van Gerwen and Jan van Veen currently the closest challengers. Humphries has got Stephen Bunting up first, and Price actually plays Van Gerwen first tonight, so big one that. Both sitting at 17-20 to win it, so we can't split them. Although MVG actually won a floor event earlier this week, guys, and was absolutely sensational. He won the final 7-0, averaged 122.3. Price has been off it the past few weeks, so it could be a bit of value in the 7-time Premier League winner Van Gerwen, even to win the night at 8-1 if he can continue that from Tuesday, lads.
Sean, terrific. Thank you so much. Sean Martin with us this morning as we approach 12 noon. Visit betmgm.co.uk. Download the app. 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Oh, is it? Okay, so, yeah. This is Never Ever by All Saints, but why are we playing it, I hear you ask? Well, I think this is nuts, what I'm going to tell you now. I was out Saturday night, with our friends John and Emma, right? Went for a curry. And, are you all right?
Sorry.
Turn it up, he wants more of it. Turn it up a bit.
Sorry, no, carry on, sorry.
Go on.
Ready?
Here we go, you got a good bit now. Come on. Vocabulary runs through my head. The alphabet runs right from... Oh, he's going to struggle with that. Oh, you got it.
What a tune, by the way.
So I was out with my friends on Saturday night. I went out for a curry. And John's wife, Emma, said to me, I've never, ever, bearing in mind she's our age, right? I mean, I'm a little bit older than you. Ever had a cup of tea or coffee. And I went, I don't believe you.
I don't believe that.
And she said, I don't want to quote the All Saints, I promise you I've never ever. And I went, you must, like, maybe 20 years. I've never, ever had a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And I find that insane.
I think that's crazy.
Yeah. That is bizarre, isn't it? Now,
Yeah,
when I was talking to your producer, he's not mine, Posh Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie.
Very posh, by the way, Ollie.
Yeah, Wimbledon.
Yeah, I'm sure you must have walked into this building and looked for the Times radio and just taken a left rather than a right.
So he went to Oxford Uni.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Way too clever for talkSPORT.
Oxford and Cambridge wanted him, and he chose Oxford.
Have you noticed all the scripts are written in his words? I tried.
Simon Jordan's son.
Chris O'Dowd! When you get the offer to be the voice of a sheep.
Yes, you can only dream, really.
Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser. Well, how much of Rip does your husband in real life have about him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's mad.
He's Kirsty and Phil.
Can we talk about one other thing?
We can talk about loads of things. It's an interview.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning.
Adam Smith, the voice of boxing, will join us from 12 onwards. Before that, Simon, very interesting story emerging, quotes from a player from Euro Club, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace midfielder Adam Wharton has revealed that he has no memory of last season's FA Cup final and says he played part of the match with a concussion so severe that he was unaware of the scoreline. Now, Wharton was forced off in the final few minutes at Wembley. Of course, Palace won it. After being struck on the back of the head by a shot from Kevin De Bruyne. He missed the team's post-match celebrations after being taken to hospital for checks. And Adam says in an interview with Scouted magazine, and this really makes you think. He says, I've watched a million clips back and I sort of know what happened. But there's no memory or recollection of the game. I vaguely remember Eze scoring and Dean Henderson saving the penalty, but everything else is missing. Now, the chief executive of Headway is Luke Griggs, and Luke joins us live. Luke, is Wharton's admission here more evidence that football hasn't got its concussion protocols right yet?
It is, and I think anybody reading those quotes or listening to what you just said there, I think the first thing is you feel so sorry for Adam. This is the biggest footballing achievement in his career. We all grow up as kids wanting to lift that FA Cup, and he can't remember any of it. And it just shows how serious a seemingly innocuous blow to the head that happens in every game can be, and how much damage it can cause the brain.
Yeah, I mean, Simon, the initial incident happened after 73 minutes. Adam Wharton was checked by club medical staff and played on until the 87th minute, when he was replaced by Will Hughes. Wharton says, I don't know how I played for 10 minutes.
Okay, let's look at that and say, first and foremost, is it negligence on football's part? First thing is to get football to acknowledge the existence of a challenge, which football has done, and to deploy a principle where players are no longer put under pressure to make decisions in a game that ultimately, once upon a time, when a head injury came into play, it was stick them up with some tape, stick them back out in the field. That message has been received. Short of, I suspect, being able to have a brain scan on the side of a field, you're always going to have a circumstance where there is a difference between a concussion protocol that's just a verbal transaction, assimilating people's ability to be able to communicate, and some other tests that may be part of it, unless you're going to turn around and say, any head immediately, no discussion, no debate, no little tests, no finger tests, no discussions about coherency off the field, there's always going to be a margin of error between the ability to be able to diagnose a concussion that's inherent or to make a mistake.
But the argument here, Simon, and I'm sure you'd agree with me from your point of view, Luke, is that at the moment we've got permanent subs. Of course we have. But what Headway want, what you want, I think, Luke, is to see temporary subs, rolling substitutions come into play here, such as one that would have helped out Wharton while they were checking him.
Yeah, I think that this incident shows the necessity and also the limitations of the temporary concussion substitutions. And you're absolutely right. We do think that they are essential, because that period of 10 to 15 minutes off the pitch in the quiet confines of a treatment or changing room would have given the team medics a better opportunity to identify the emerging signs of concussion and prevent players who have injured their brains from taking additional risks while continuing to be monitored from afar. Now, that's what we want. That would help, but it's not infallible, because the signs of a concussion are evolving, and they may take several hours for those symptoms to actually present themselves, despite the fact that damage has already been caused. So Simon's right to a degree that at the moment we've got an imperfect system, and the medics have got the devil's own job to do this. So it is not an issue with the team medics not doing their job. It's so very difficult to diagnose concussion in 2 to 3 minutes on the pitch. What we do know is there's plenty of research going on right now to look at biomarkers to actually help us to better identify the emerging signs of concussion, changes in our blood, and the way that the brain is evolving can actually help. Now, that is quite some time off, but ultimately, if we can get to a position where there's accurate sideline diagnostics based on those biomarkers, I think we might do a lot better. In the meantime, we have to introduce temporary concussion substitutions, and football and rugby and all contact sports have to do far more to educate people around the dangers of concussion and the cumulative effect of continuing to play with multiple head injuries and continue to play with a concussion.
I mean, but the thing is, Sam, I mean, look, am I right? You've been pushing for this for a while, rolling substitution,
many years,
temporary concussion subs. But why the authorities aren't listening?
Well, we've had some progress in terms of getting the likes of the FA to be fully supportive of this, and they have brought this to IFAB and to FIFA. And it seems to me that what's happening there is the lawmakers on an international stage are saying that this is blown out of all proportion and there isn't a problem here. I just cannot fathom that. If football, like any sport or any industry, has a responsibility to protect people, then this is what we're talking about, protecting people, not just at elite level, but how many people at grassroots level are seeing what happens there. Well, then obviously, it's not bad enough for on a national stage, they've gone back on, but there's no doctors, there's no ambulance, there's no one helping them at the sidelines in the grassroots game. And unless football at the elite level sets a better example, we're going to have a crisis in future years of the number of people who are ignoring this and having then the long-term cumulative impact of head injuries turning into CTE and forms of dementia.
Well, I don't want to be cynical about the reasons why people like IFAB might ignore the principle of a temporary substitution, because it might mean that they're admitting to an industrial injury, and all of a sudden you start having class actions bouncing around left, right and centre, because IFAB wouldn't be in that space. The FA would be in that space of not wanting to accept it as an industrial injury per se. I think there's more than just not acknowledging the fact that it's a bigger problem, because if there's no harm, no foul to temporary substitutions, there's no reason for it not to be put into play. I would suspect there's an integrity issue about how temporary substitutions are going to be deployed is the main resistance, rather than a negligent laissez-faire attitude from IFAB, which is not a big enough problem, because you can make it a big enough problem by shouting loudly, and people like Will are getting voices and getting exposure to the media, so it's easy to be able to put these people into a cleft position. I think there's probably an argument about the integrity of how temporary substitutions are being utilised. I think going back to the point that Will made, which was about the argument
Luke made
about the argument that suggested that the biometric markers, if you can start to get to a situation where you can evaluate based upon testing on the side of a field, then you are going to remove the sort of jumpers for goalpost medical analysis of whether someone's got concussions or not.
Sure. Look, before you leave us, are these quotes from Adam Wharton helpful to you to make your case further?
Yeah, very much so. It reminds me of a case with Dan Bigger when he was playing for Ospreys a few years back, and he said he missed a simple kick to win the game, a rugby union game, and they said, "Why did you miss?" And he said, "Well, I can't remember the last 10 minutes of the game," and he passed the concussion assessment.
Yeah.
But you need players to step forward and be brave. We need this in the public sector. We need people who are looked up to say, "That's not right. It's dangerous and something needs to change," because elite level sport sets the programme for grassroots.
Luke, thank you very much indeed. Luke Griggs is the CEO of Headway. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
So what? Listen, Middlesbrough went 1-0 up, Jamie.
He's right.
Right, they played brilliant. The first half, we scored an equaliser, right, and that done it. That put it to bed because the second half we come out frying, mate. Middlesbrough had nothing. They were leggy. They were gone.
I think the rule is if you're going to
great call.
Don't get caught.
What? What's that?
The rule is if you're going to cheat.
Is that your analysis of?
I think
Spygate.
I think well,
if you're going to cheat, don't get caught.
Well, I think if you cheat, no, rule number 1, don't get caught. Can't get caught cheating, mate. Can you?
You can't say that, mate.
Well, you can.
You can't.
I don't think it's cheating.
What do you mean?
Just don't get caught.
What do you mean? It's cheating.
It's not cheating.
It's a form of cheating.
It's not a form of cheating, but if you are cheating, don't get caught.
Is texting another woman cheating?
What are you saying to her?
Well,
you tell me what I'm saying, I'll tell you it's cheating.
We're just having a little chat. We're having a,
No, it's not cheating.
We're having a little chat. You know, be a bit flirty.
Right, okay, what am I saying? You give me the context of the text, and I'll tell you it's cheating.
Say, I see you at the bar the other day. I got your number, and I thought I'd give you a message. I thought you look really pretty.
That's not cheating in my book.
You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace.
Oh, that's not cheating, is it?
What do you mean? It's a form of cheating.
It's not.
It is.
No, it's not. It's fine.
You can't get away with that.
No, I think you wouldn't.
Swain can't get away
but here's
with
the thing: I ain't got caught. Delete the text. Delete the text. Delete the text.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With the headlines at 2 minutes past 12, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. The former Celtic midfielder Paul Lambert told talkSPORT the watered-down VAR is not working in Scotland. It follows Celtic's controversial late penalty winner at Motherwell. No pen, says Lambert.
The trajectory of the ball goes 50 yards out the pitch. You can never do that with a hand unless you punch it.
Hearts now need to avoid defeat at Celtic on Saturday to end this thrilling Premiership title race on top.
I think if Hearts use the emotion of that to get into Parkhead on Saturday, they'll lose the game. For me, the damage has been done when Hearts never got a result against Motherwell a few weeks ago.
In the Premier League, Arne says he has no reason to believe he won't be the Liverpool manager next season. Meanwhile, Mo Salah will be available for a few minutes off the bench at Aston Villa, live on talkSPORT tomorrow. Mikel Arteta has seemed to confirm Ben White's World Cup dream is over with a long-term injury, but Jurrien Timber could be fit again for the Champions League final. Meanwhile, the World Cup final halftime show will feature Madonna, BTS and Shakira. Chris Martin's revealed a lineup in a video with some Muppets.
Can you believe it? They're doing a halftime show during the World Cup final.
That doesn't sound half bad.
Well, it doesn't sound half good either.
Hey, Statler and Waldorf, you guys are invited too. Everyone's invited, right?
Yeah. Sure,
okay, so let's go.
Every World Cup game will be live on talkSPORT this summer. Lee Westwood's told us if Liv Golf collapses, he'd rather play with the seniors than go back to the PGA Tour.
I've never really enjoyed playing the PGA Tour that much, in 30-odd years of being a professional golfer.
The US PGA Championship is now underway in Philadelphia. Rory McIlroy tees off at 1:40pm UK time. Get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
All eyes on Health Secretary Wes Streeting. We're about to hear if he'll quit and trigger a Labour leadership challenge. Meanwhile, the waiting list for hospital treatment in England has fallen to its lowest level since the summer of 2022. More from the news team at p:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Our expert technicians can't do your spring cleaning, but they can keep your car's inbuilt safety tech in top nick. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Sunny spells and showers, the heaviest showers across central and southern UK. Thunderstorms as well. Breezy with coastal gales later in the far northeast.
Noon, Thursday, we're going to talk boxing. So where's Spencer Oliver and his walk-on music? Spencer Oliver's going to join us live further down the line within this hour, of course, as we look ahead to Dave Allen against Philip Hergovic. Spencer's in the north of England, and we look forward to joining him. In the meantime, we will talk boxing, of course we will, in the illustrious company of the man who's regarded as the top boxing commentator, working for DAZN these days, and still doing his bit for talkSPORT, I'm delighted to say. One-time chum of mine at Sky, but still a chum. Adam Smith is with us live in studio. Mr. Smith, how do I find you?
Good afternoon. Very well. Boxing is absolutely crazy at the moment, and Spenny's up in Donny for a big fight this weekend. It just keeps on giving, the sport. It really does. I mean, last week was one of the great fights of the ages, and we go again with the heavyweights this Saturday. Then it's Usyk in Egypt. It's non-stop. It's a very, very lively period.
It is a lively period. There's a feature in that, isn't there? Spenny in Donny. Anyway, we'll get to him. Last Saturday in Manchester, Daniel Dubois beat Fabio Wardley to become a two-time heavyweight champion. This fellow was there doing the Corden, and I watched it and was very impressed. I heard your voice throughout it, Adam, and it was memorable to say the least. But commentating on the fight for DAZN as you did, of all the British bouts you have called on down the years, where did this one rank?
Well, it's right up there. It was incredible the way it just sort of unveiled itself piece by piece. I mean, beforehand there was huge hype, as there often is in heavyweight fights, but particularly this one, the 50-50 tag that we often give boxing with a hyperbole. Actually, this one was a genuine pick'em. I mean, Simon will tell you what he found with the guys on the week, but, you know, Daniel's Daniel, and Fabio was very cool and calm in his skin. And when he went out in the first round and floored him within the first, 12 seconds, I thought, wow, we're in for an early night here. But as it just ticked along, it was compelling, thrilling, savage, brutal. I said at one point in commentary, it felt like we were actually watching a film. It felt like we were watching some sort of, Rocky sort of sequence, which was a little bit unreal.
Do you both think that levels came to the fore in the end?
I think a lot of things came to the fore. I asked Don Charles, Daniel's trainer, what was your reaction when Daniel got knocked down? He said absolutely shocked, absolutely froze. And then regained. Listen, what we saw was what we expected to see. I said in the conversation I had with the two boys that someone's going to get knocked out or beaten into submission. And beaten into submission was what actually happened, because neither one of those guys, despite the questioning of Daniel's heart, which I often has felt a little bit unfair, it was worth a conversation. But you've got to be a bit more honest about fighters losing fights and the narrative that was seeded in the Joe Joyce that was carried on to Usyk. What it was a great fight. Now, whether we saw that levels were shown because Fabio got exposed for only being able to throw one shot and Daniel broke him down. I don't know whether that shows levels. What do you think, Adam?
I mean, Fabio Wardley's just an unbelievable story. The fact that he was a recruitment consultant at 22 and hadn't laced a pair of gloves on, had 4 white-collar fights and has become heavyweight champion of the world is a movie in itself. I mean, without what happened last Saturday, you add that to it, and the gladiatorial spirit and the ridiculous chin that he showed, he never went down in the fight. And Simon's right, it turned into a very one-sided fight after a few rounds, but at the beginning there was jeopardy all over the place, the first 4-5, and then even there was a moment where Fabio came back at him. And the thing with Fabio Wardley is he's got out of jail late on before against Justice Hooney, against Joseph Parker, so there was always that thought maybe, but his legs had started to go in sort of 9 and 10, and it was getting uncomfortable viewing, but it was an incredible fight.
Well, Adam, Dubois' power was eventually too much for Wardley. Simon and Don Charles from, of course, Dubois' camp on his show Talk Boxing, and he discussed what Dubois had achieved that night against Wardley.
Not something I planned to do. It's an instinctive energy charge to reaction.
It's a hell of a thing to do, isn't it?
I'll tell you what drove me to do that, because it was at the beginning of round 4?
Yep.
I think it was beginning of round 4 or 5. Anyway, so he's come back, and I've realised that Fabio is unleashing bombs and not connecting.
Right.
Do you know how sapping that is? It's harder. You waste more energy by missing than actually making contact. Yeah. So I'm thinking, brilliant. I said to my colleague in the corner with me, Tony Pill, I said, Tone, he's swinging, he's missing. Brilliant. I was hoping he will carry on doing that. Because by now, Daniel has gone back to what because Daniel's got a brilliant amateur pedigree.
Yep.
The footwork of an amateur was the technique was part of the game plan. Use your amateur footwork, because we know Fabio will struggle. You can't punch what's not there, basically.
Of course.
Go like a pendulum, in, out, like a pendulum.
There was that moment when Don Charles slapped his own fighter, Daniel Dubois, in the face, and that seemed to flick a switch, didn't it?
He said I think he said to me, if I recall his exact words, he wasn't present. And so I wanted him present. The opportunity was there. He was describing the situation, what was manifesting itself in front of Daniel, and he said Daniel wasn't present enough. So I wanted to wake him up and get him present in the moment, because the opportunity was his now.
We've seen it before, haven't we, with Chris Eubank and Ronnie Davis back in the Collins fight. That slap that maybe just refocuses. But I thought Daniel kept looking at the corner even when he was down. And I thought very interesting what Don said there about getting back to his boxing. I think beforehand everybody thought it was going to be a shootout. And one thing I felt was that he had a brilliant amateur background. And, of course, he's had incredible experience as a professional, and the mentality is always being talked about. But he walked through Jarrell Miller and Philip Hergovic's big shots. He destroyed Anthony Joshua at Wembley. So I always felt if he could get behind that jab, and that jab was superb from about round 5 onwards, and it won him the fight. The boxing won him the fight.
Do you think it might have been more of a shootout if Fabio hadn't come out and dropped him in 12 seconds? That would have recentered people into the situation, and then dropped him again in the third round.
I mean, it was actually like a white-collar fight. Fabio destroyed everyone in the white-collar world very quickly. But actually, he's been going later on in fights. The Fraser Clark 1 second fight, the one exception. But, yeah, I think maybe it probably just gave him too much confidence at the beginning to find it that easy, and maybe he thought Daniel would just unravel. And when he went down again in the third round, I think we all felt that maybe Wardley would win it within the first quarter.
Adam, when you commentate in these big fights, you must get to a stage where you think, when it's so one-sided. This wasn't so one-sided, but it became very one-sided. Oh, something's going to change here. He's going to get pulled out. Like Wardley's going to get pulled out. Barry McGuigan said, absolutely, the corner should have pulled him out at least 3 rounds before the stoppage. Before you tell me what you think, Stan Dubois, father of Daniel, told us this.
I wouldn't have allowed my boy to take such a beating like that. No way in the world. I would have got him out of there, you know. I would have insisted that they stopped it. I was looking at it and I'm thinking, why are they doing that? Why don't someone stop it? Because he can get permanent damage. At least give him a chance to come back and fight another day. He has got a way of coming back from the dead. So I suppose they had to give him that chance because he's done it in nearly all his fights. So I would have still pulled him out because that blood didn't look too good and I thought it was bad.
Did you, Adam? What do you make to the criticism?
I think there's been plenty of it in the last few days. Listen, it was a fantastic fight. That's the first thing, and both of them were incredibly spirited, brave, and that will go down in history. As far as the fight being stopped too late, yes, I think it got uncomfortable. Round about the sort of 9th, 10th, there was a moment where Fabio went to get his nose checked by the doctor. The nose looked terrible, but more importantly, I noticed his legs, and his legs had gone a bit sort of skew-whiff, and the problem is that, yes, he can find that punch late on in fights, as he's proved before, but if you don't have the legs beneath you, maybe the power just isn't there. So I think it was harder to watch. However, Ben Davidson, Lee Wiley, Rob Hodgkins, they adore Fabio, and they are a very, very good corner. And ultimately, they are looking after their guy. And if they felt at the time that still Fabio had an opportunity to cling on to his world title, then that's what they did. Obviously, Fabio was coherent and all that in the corner. Sometimes it's difficult. Obviously, in hindsight, we look back at it. But at the time, I said to the guys, I said to Darren and to Barry and to Carl at ringside, should they be getting him out of there? And they all thought they should.
Everybody thought that. I mean, I was sat there with Josh Boazzi, who was going berserk about to paraphrase Josh, about the negligence of the corner, because it wasn't just a case of not being able to defend your world title. It's what happens to the fighter next in fights that go on. I think Ben Davidson, as I like him very much, I think he's made a mistake by not having speaking for himself. Posting stuff on social media is one thing. I know he wants to get out of the way of it and compress and have some thought processes, but there'll be a narrative seeded about Ben Davidson, about the decisions that he's made, the role of the dice conversation about Anthony Joshua, which he dispelled. Next thing is now you allowed your fight to go on too long with Fabio. Fabio will be absolutely behind his team, and he has already been to you, I know, and that's right to be, because loyalty should cut both ways. But I think Ben, because when Ben comes back from his little self-imposed break, and he will still be facing questions from the media about his responsibility to that fighter. He would have been better, in my view, coming out and saying, this is the reasons why I did it, these are the decisions I made, these are the circumstances that we found ourselves in.
But to both of you, where does the ultimate responsibility lie? The corner, the referee, or the ringside corner?
For me, it's with the corner. The corner. The health and safety.
Even though you've got these medical experts around.
The health and safety of the fighter is the most important thing, and your corner know you better than anyone, and you're the ones that have to think, okay, beyond this, should we save our fighter for another day? And there's sometimes when we're at ringside and we feel, my word, please stop this, please. Maybe you can't see something, not just Saturday night, but other times. But we're commentators, we're not in there, we're not in the corner, we're not feeling it. There is a referee, there are doctors there for a reason. And it's a tough one. There's a lot of people that could have stopped the fight, but it didn't happen. So ultimately, Fabio Wardley has to sort of move on, and the world will turn. And Ben has been criticised before for pulling fighters out too early. Now one for too late. Ben Davison is a terrific trainer. He's a wonderful boxing man, and he would not want Fabio to have got hurt in any way. He obviously believed at that time there was still, however faint the chance was, a chance.
Well,
I just think with the legs, that chance had gone.
It's very strange because Ben turned around and said he didn't see him stumble. But there was Lee Wiley and Rob in the corner as well, and someone must have seen him stumble.
Sure.
Someone must have seen him uncertain in his legs.
Sure. It was a sensational fight and a pretty sensational end to that fight. There was another one as well that night. Zach Chelly produced a real shock after beating David Morrell with a 10th round stoppage. Zach Chelly will join us live next. As we alluded to yesterday, Southampton are likely to face a sporting sanction if they're found guilty of spying charges. As a result, they could end up being thrown out of the playoff final to be replaced in that final by Middlesbrough instead, the team that they put out last night at the semi-final second leg stage. We said we'd look into this more thoroughly from a financial, legal expert point of view, and the very man who fits that bill is sitting to my right. Stefan Borsten joins us live in studio. And Stefan, good morning to you.
Hi.
We'll get into how this may or may not play out in the courts. Is there a precedent, Stefan, for chucking a team out of the playoffs?
Well, it happened to Swindon, but it was different. Well, not in terms of the playoffs, but in terms of sort of annulling the promotion. But it was a different situation. I mean, there's no situation where you've had it all come to a head within this small window around the playoffs. In terms of spying / espionage, there's really very few cases anywhere in football in respect of this. So you've got the Leeds situation that we know about, where it was systematic. They ended up with a £200,000 fine. And effectively, the other part of the sanction was to vote in favour of the rule that then came in. This rule that we're now talking about in terms of the 72-hour rule. That was part of the agreement on that. So that brought the rule in. The only other case is actually from the from the Olympics with Canada's women's team, and FIFA in 2024 docked them 6 points.
offer to be the voice of a sheep.
Yes, you can only dream, really.
Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser. Well, how much of Rip does your husband in real life have about him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's a man.
Say Carl.
He's a dude.
Kirsty and Phil.
Can we talk about one other thing?
We can talk about loads of things. It's an interview.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning.
It is Thursday lunchtime. We'll be heading north to speak to Spencer Oliver shortly ahead of Dave Allen against Philip Hergovic. We are talking about events last weekend in Manchester, which saw Daniel Dubois really pretty much do a job on Fabio Wardley. Elsewhere, Zach Chelly produced a real shock after beating David Morrell, the Cuban, with a 10th round stoppage. Now, Morrell, who's 28 years of age, and Chelly, it was never meant to happen, really. The Cuban fighter Morrell was scheduled to fight WBO interim light heavyweight champion Callum Smith last month. Smith had to withdraw through injury, and that propelled London's Chelly into the mix, and Zach Chelly did not miss out on the opportunity. Wow. He got right into it and ended up winning on the night, as I say, with a 10th round stoppage. Adam Smith and Simon are with me this lunchtime, and so too is English light heavyweight Zach Chelly. Zach, good afternoon. How on earth did you pull this one off?
Good afternoon. Yeah, hard work and dedication. I've been ready for it. Listening to my dad, and always training and always keeping focused because I knew the opportunity would come. And once I was ready for it.
It was a tough order for you to do it. I mean, Morrell suffered the only previous loss of his career when Benavides beat him on points, and now you've stepped in there and you've put him away too. I mean, you must be damn proud of yourself.
Yeah, very happy. I mean, I believed in myself. At light heavyweight, I feel a lot stronger. Stopping people and sparring, so I knew I'd have the power to. If I caught him on the chin, I'd have the power to drop him or even stop him.
What do you think of it, Adam?
I thought it was incredible, Zach. I mean, a school teacher by day and by night, you go and do that. Fantastic the way that he came up in levels. He stayed with Morrell. He wasn't winning the fight, but then at the end, he turns around and does that, pulls it out the bag. One of the great upset wins, and it propels you, Zach, right into the picture. And what a fantastic time to be a light heavyweight.
Well, I think Adam's absolutely right. I mean, as he says, your day job as a supply teacher, and I think you said to the students, I'm not going to be here next week because I'm going to be in Manchester in fight week. And they said to you, did they not? Well, you better win it. Don't come back if you don't.
Yeah, I'll be seeing them next Thursday. I'm currently in Tunisia at the moment on holiday. Just had a training session at the beach. But yeah, before I left, because 2 weeks notice, I said to them, next week I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in a fight camp. I showed them who I'm fighting. They're like, okay, that guy's dangerous. Be careful. If you don't beat him, don't come back because it'll be embarrassing. Because I know, don't worry, I will beat him. But I'll be seeing them next Thursday. You know, they're a cheeky bunch because basically for that class, I teach them boxing for kids who have, SEN, special education needs or behavioral issues. So they're a cheeky bunch. They don't like to attend school, but they attend my lesson when I teach them boxing. And the only way to get to attend my lesson is if they behave in school. So I'll make sure they behave so they can join my box.
Interestingly, Zach, I was sitting next to Callum Smith and the Smith brothers watching this fight unfold in front of us. And when you got him going, they were like, this is unbelievable. Now, I don't know whether it creates a better opportunity for Callum because David Morrell's out of the picture. I noticed that you talked about the stepping up to light heavyweight has made a significant difference because obviously at super middleweight, you lost recently to Callum Simpson. Now, is it a big change for you to step up into this weight class? Because that performance against Morel, who was picked to be very dangerous, and a lot of people, with all due respect to you, thought this was a bit of a formality for him. That was rewritten and fabulous. Well done, you, mate. Is it stepping up to the light heavyweight that's making a big difference for you in terms of the opportunities that may present themselves?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I feel a lot stronger. I feel fitter as well. At super middle, I mean, I wasn't struggling with the weight, but it would affect me power-wise. Like throughout camp, I would have to reduce the amount of food and train extra, and that, I think that affected me power-wise. Whereas at light heavy, I'm eating great. I'm eating, my dad cooks my meals for me, always chicken every night, and I feel, I'm full of protein. I'm full of strength, and even it's showing in my sparring. And as I knew that my sparrings were going well, I knew my fight will go well as well.
I mean, the next thing people will say is it's opened up a world of opportunity for you. And one of the names that will eventually or inevitably more likely reverberate is Ben Whittaker. Is that something in your mind that would appeal to you, not because you want to be a prop for the Ben Whittaker story, but because it's an opportunity?
Fought twice as an amateur. Me winning the last time we fought, Three Nations finals, where I got the gold medal, and he actually beat Hutchison the day before, and Hutchison beat David Morrell the week before. So deep down, this was during 2017. I already knew that deep down, not just when I was 17, deep down I knew that I was better at Morrell at one point in my life, so I can be again. Regards to fighting with Whittaker, yes, I'm happy for it, but I don't believe his promoter, Eddie Hearn, would want it because he didn't want to fight Morrell, and I just knocked out Morrell, so I don't think he'd want it. In my eyes, I want to go for a world title. I've been a pro for nearly 10 years. I think it's about time I go for a world title, and this is the path that God has put me on. So alhamdulillah, I want to say, and I want Callum Smith next. That's what I want next. That's who David Morrell was meant to fight, and I believe because I beat him, I got his position. Now I want Callum Smith.
Callum Smith next. Okay, we're just losing your line, but thank you for joining us from Tunisia, Zach Chelly. Now, that would be something, wouldn't it? What chance would you give him against Callum?
What a great talker as well. And he's got his dad, who's absolutely nuts. He was a fighter back in the day. and he made this happen, this Morrell matchup. Zach took the opportunity on the big stage. Fantastic night for him. I'd love to see him against Callum Smith. I'd love to see him against Ben Whittaker. All of those, he's announced himself. It's really interesting that he feels at light heavyweight now that he's stronger, because it is a big jump, and it's really good to hear. He's been around a long time, and he's been in a bit of the who needs him club, but he's a lovely lad. He's from Fulham. As I said, he teaches the kids. He's great. It's a great story.
You could stick him in against Willie Hutchison because Willie can't read or write. So with that in mind, you can help him with that, can't he?
That's disgraceful from you. Zach Chelly, thank you very much indeed. He's in Tunisia. From there, we're going to head north to Doncaster, and we're going to hear about Dave Allen and his chances going in against Filip Hergovic. Spencer will join us very shortly. Stay with us.
Leeds, they had injuries. They weren't really at the races.
Oh, they should have won it, though. Leeds should have won it.
Yeah, because we fell apart. We fell apart, mate.
What's that?
Yeah, but
don't blame Leeds. Don't stand on a proper West Ham.
I'm not blaming Leeds, but Leeds were there to get beat tonight. It wasn't a great performance from Leeds, all right? But once we scored, we went 1-0 up, right? Yeah. And we fell apart. We were bottling it all over the park. No one had any bottle to get on the ball, to make a pass, to have some structure. There was no pattern of our play. Everything that De Zerbi's probably been working on with them just went completely out the window.
Well,
There's 11 players just out there hoping that something might happen.
I thought it was a good point. I thought it was a decent point, mate.
Is that what you're going to say for 2 hours? You're just going to say it's a good point? Right.
Well, you could have come away with nothing. And I'll tell you what's worse, losing. That's worse.
I know, mate, but that's not a good point. We're at home. Out of the 3 games we got left, that's the easiest
How many
game.
points have you picked up this season at home?
I don't know. Not many.
Right, not many. So that's a good point.
I don't think we've won at home 5 months. I know, but come on.
5 months? I've had a hair transplant. It's going to grow back. I'll have a hair transplant. It's going to grow back by the time you next win at home. That's how long it's been. I only had a hair transplant about 6 weeks ago.
Honestly, I don't know how I feel about that performance. What is Matthias still doing? What?
Oh, it's a brilliant finish. What are you on about?
No, the goal's a great goal. What's he doing in his box? What is he doing? A bicycle kick.
Yeah.
A bicycle kick in your own box when you're in the bottom three, when you can't see what's around you, and he's trying to do a bicycle kick. Honestly, what's he doing?
Can we just give
Everton? In the first half, he crossed one in, and it was a great...
talkSPORT's Jason Cundy's likened the Scottish Premiership to a pub league after one of the most controversial VAR calls we've ever seen.
If you're telling me with a straight face that that's the only camera angle we're ever going to see...
That is the only camera angle tonight we've been showed, yes, on Sky Sports.
That's dog and duck. That's dog and duck.
Handball given against Motherwell defender Sam Nicholson. Celtic converted the 99th minute penalty to win it. Derek McInnes called the decision disgusting. His Hearts side now need to avoid defeat at Celtic Park on Saturday to win the title. In the Premier League, Pep Guardiola was pleased to be able to rest half his team and keep the pressure on Arsenal by beating Palace 3-0, and told us players like Phil Foden are needed to unlock deep-lying defences.
When you arrive in the final third, the talent, and I've been so lucky. Have an incredible team, an incredible talent that help us to win games.
Foden's back heel to put one on a plate for Semenyo was the first of his 2 assists, but former City defender Danny Mills says it could be too little too late for Foden when it comes to his World Cup chances.
And also against a weakish Palace side, does that really tell you what sort of form that he's in? Unfortunately for Phil, his form throughout the season probably hasn't been good enough to force into that England side.
Despite concerns about how Iran will get into the USA, their team was given a World Cup send-off by thousands of fans in Tehran. Iran's participation has been in doubt since the US and Israel launched airstrikes on the country, and Madonna, Shakira and South Korean boy band BTS will headline what will be the first ever World Cup final halftime show. It's being organised by Coldplay's Chris Martin.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Heavyweight season continues on DAZN. This Saturday, Dave Allen takes on former world title contender, giant of a man, Filip Hergovic. So it's David against Goliath, really, live from Donny, and Dave fancies his chances. Next Saturday, May the 23rd, is Glory Giza Usyk faces the Dutch kickboxing legend Rico Verhoeven with the WBC heavyweight title up for grabs. Join DAZN Ultimate now, and you can watch Dave Allen. Plus, get 12 or more pay-per-views a year, including Usyk Rico, at no extra cost. So talking about Dave Allen up against Hergovic, let's get more on this now. Simon's with me, obviously, and so too is Adam Smith, the voice of boxing indeed. We're going to head up to Doncaster. Spencer Oliver finds himself there ahead of the big fight. And Spencer, I think you were in and around the shopping area yesterday where there was an open workout going on. Where do we find you now in lovely Donny?
Well, I'm actually at the stadium right now. I'm here. I've just bumped into Filip Hergovic, who looks in fantastic shape. Dave Allen also looks in great shape as well. This is a crowning moment for Dave Allen, a dream come true. Doncaster Rovers FC. He's always wanted to box here. He gets the opportunity against a world-class Filip Hergovic. Wins this fight, and it catapults him into that world stage. It's a massive opportunity, and trust me, guys. He had the self-belief is second to none. He really fancies this.
Well, he's a great boxer. I had a meal with him not that long ago, and he's one of the world's nicest men. We shared a pizza. That's by the by. I'll ask Adam and Simon as well. But Spencer, What chance do you give Dave Allen of beating Hergovic?
Well, look, guys, you just had Zach Chelly on, didn't you? And you know, if we would have been talking about Zach Chelly beating David Morrell, I would have, I would have actually laughed at you. I thought that fight was going to be over very quickly. You know, Zach Chelly showed that, you know, you stick with it, you grit your teeth, and you can grind it out and pull off upsets. And upsets can happen. This is heavyweight boxing. Look, it's a massive uphill task here for Dave Allen. Let's not be, you know, make no bones about that. This is a massive job he's got in his hands, but it is a winnable fight. You know, Philip Hergovic, we saw against David Adelaide last time up. He cuts up badly, and that's maybe the route to victory for Dave Allen. He needs to stick at it. One thing I'll say, guys, is he has trained unbelievably hard for this one. 10 weeks ago, I was speaking to Jamie Moore. He said 10 weeks ago, Dave Allen weighed 19 stone 10. He's now down at 17 stone 10. He's in the shape of his life. You know, he's going to go for it. It's all about going out there. The approach is going to be attack, attack, attack. And he's going to try and take Philip into deep waters. Can he step up to world stage? That remains to be seen, but he's got a massive opportunity and home advantage on Saturday night.
Adam sitting beside Simon. Adam, you're nodding a lot to what Spencer's saying.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely spot on. It's a very, very tough fight for Dave Allen, but he knows it. He's got the Doncaster faithful with him. He's always wanted to fight there at the Echo Power. This is the opportunity. We all love him in the sport. He's a cult character. He's a brilliant guy on and off, you know, in the ring, on camera. He's fabulous. And, you know, it's been an unbelievable ride. What a story in those fights over Johnny Fisher. Yes, he lost to Makhmudov, but the atmosphere that night in Sheffield when he came out, that ring walk, I mean, he's going to get an incredible ovation, a wonderful welcome, and he's with a great team, with Jamie Moore and Nigel Travers. They'll have him in tip-top shape, but it is an uphill struggle. Philip Hergovic is good, you know, former world Olympic bronze medalist, only that one loss to Daniel Dubois when he was all over Dubois in the first couple of rounds. Yeah. He's hard, he's mean. You don't want to meet him on a street corner, Jim, I'll tell you that what. And I tell you, under Abel Sanchez, he's been reignited too. So I think what Spencer's saying about the cuts is quite an important one. If something like that happens, it gives Dave a little bit of confidence. Maybe he can grind it out.
Right.
As we've seen with Zach Chelly,
yeah,
there's possibilities even stepping up in class. And I would say that Zach Chelly's win over David Morrell, it wouldn't surprise me as much if Dave Allen beat Hergovic.
Wow. I mean, I was there in the night, Simon, that Dubois really laid into Hergovic, and Hergovic did cut up very badly.
Well, he's not been. I mean, Hergovic comes with a big reputation, and the fight. And you look at the fights that he's been in. He's not been particularly impressive. He wasn't impressive against Zhili Zhang. He wasn't impressive against Dempsey McKean. Mark Demora was a gimme. Daniel Dubois beats him. Joe Joyce was a vanquished fighter, and David Adelaide gave him some headaches. So if we can get Dave Allen focused and not sort of, you know, involved in the emotion that he got involved in at Sheffield, coming out in the Sheffield game, and of course the Sheffield Stadium, there's a chance here. I mean, if you listen to Don Charles is absolutely advocating, but he obviously trained Daniel Dubois to fight against Hergovic, knows what he's going in against, and thinks that Dave Allen's got a real. No, he thinks Dave Allen's going to win.
You made a really good point about Zhili Zhang as well. I was down in Saudi for that one, and he went walkabout a bit in that fight, Philip Hergovic, a little bit like a sort of Andrew Gallotta used to, not quite sure where he was going. So there are some question marks when the going gets tough against Hergovic. Yeah. On top, though, he's a world-class fighter, and there is a difference in level on paper.
Yeah.
Obviously. So, Spencer, where are you hanging your hat in this? I mean, is it a final hurrah for Big Dave, or is it start something more for him?
It's definitely a crowning moment for you know, Dave Allen. It's this opportunity, and that's what this game is all about. And we refer to Zach Chelly, like we said last week. He took that opportunity, he grabbed it by the horns, and I think that's what Dave Allen has got to do here. If you're looking for motivation, this kid has got it right now. Like, this is his moment. And the guys are right in what they say there. You know, we have seen Hergovic in the past. Daniel Dubois, he started feeling sorry for himself. He cut up bad, and going back to the Zhili Zhang fight, I was there as well, and he was going walkabout, and sometimes looked like he was turning his back. The referee really kept him in there. There was times there when he did look like he'd had enough and he was going to quit, but the referee allowed it to continue, and it's a controversial victory that night. So there is hope for Dave Allen. You know, this guy is beatable. Number 2 in the WBO, number 5 in the Ring magazine rankings as well. Imagine Dave Allen pulls this off on home soil. The crowd behind him, 10,000 strong crowd they're expecting here on Saturday night. And trust me, Dave Allen, as I say, I've seen him here at the press conference. He looks in phenomenal shape. Stranger things have happened in the heavyweight division for sure.
I hope he does it, Spencer. Thank you very much indeed, Spencer Holloway in Doncaster, as the fighters are going to be coming together. The actual fight itself is not only live in DAZN, but it's live with us here at talkSPORT. Elsewhere, with Adam and Simon here, want to get their thoughts on this. AJ Fury is going to happen. We're told sometime later this year. But who's going to promote the thing? Who's going to promote this massive mega money fight? Well, it seems more than a few promoters have thrown their hats in the ring for this. And it was Dana White who kicked the whole thing off. And this began a bit of a war of words when he threw his hat in the ring.
Start signing all these guys, putting on great fights. And for those of you that have not been fans of boxing or have never watched it or haven't watched it a lot, tune into Zuffa Boxing. We did a deal with Sky in the UK. Yep. There'll be great fights on Sky. And I'm doing the Tyson Fury AJ fight too. I'm promoting that. Yes, ma'am.
Well, apparently the band struck up on hearing that news. But then when Frank Warren heard it himself, he was like, Dana White is? I don't think so.
Well, he's not, because the contract with Tyson says that Zuffa will not be able to promote that fight.
So where has he got that from?
I don't know, asked him. It's just bull.
So that was Frank, and now Frank's new best friend, Eddie Hearn, said something similar.
Dana White randomly and bizarrely goes, yeah, I'm promoting Fury against AJ. When, number one, he's definitely not. Number two, in both fighters' contracts, it categorically states, not just Dana, but it actually includes them in there, no TKO, no Zuffa, no one associated with the company, right? It's contractually impossible for that to happen. There would be no fight, right? Just to let everybody know.
He's putting the money up.
So that's where Frank stood, and that's where Eddie stood. And then in the last couple of days, Dana White re-entered the fray and said, oh, yeah.
They've said in the contract there's no mention of TKO or Zuffa.
Fascinating.
So are you going to be the promoter of that?
I don't know. Let's see what happens. Do I ever say it really isn't true? That doesn't happen? That was a question.
I don't think you do, but Eddie Hearn has obviously come out, and Frank Warren, and both shut it down and said that the fight won't happen.
Then it must not be true.
I mean, what the heck? Where's this going?
The unpredictability, the curiosity of our crazy business. Simon can promote it. I mean, it doesn't matter. AJ and Fury are going to fight, we hope, back end of October, maybe at Wembley Stadium.
But the fight, Adam's amongst the promoters at the moment.
Which is, listen, there's going to be a lot of talk. I mean, we've got to get AJ. He's back July 25th. Tyson's talking about coming back in. I remember, Jim, at Sky a few years ago when I had Tyson on one phone and AJ on another. And they wanted the fight, and it was the fighters wanted it, but there was no making of it.
I mean, you have to think that Turki Al-Sheikh is going to end up being all over it.
But Dana's daddy's going to promote it, which is Turki Al-Sheikh. So with due respect, the reasons why there's money enough to do this, first and foremost, as we both know, as we've discussed repeatedly, both Tyson and Anthony Joshua have slightly different deals with their promoters than other fighters have, because they're not part of the stable of broadcasting obligations. So when Tyson Fury does a deal, he doesn't have to perform necessarily on the broadcaster that Frank Warren is signed to or Eddie Hearn signed to. Where's this fight happening? Netflix, right? Mm-hmm. So with due respect, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful to either Frank or Eddie, neither one of them are promoting it. This is a deal that's been done with Netflix, ultimately with some Turki Al-Sheikh money, which is why Dana's putting his two pennies in the ring.
But Eddie promotes AJ and Frank promotes Tyson, so they have to be involved.
They'll be involved, of course they will, but the fight in of itself, we know that the discussions have been had ultimately between the fighters determining what they want from Turkey, and the funding requirements are there. So of course the on-record promoters, we all know that Anthony Joshua is promoted by Eddie Hearn, and Tyson Fury is promoted by Frank Warren in the UK. So with respect to this, but we also know that both of those fighters have carve-out deals in terms of broadcasting, which means they are not part of Frank or Eddie's roster in terms of obligation to go to the broadcast.
We want Frank and Eddie involved. Eddie's been with AJ from the beginning. Frank's been with Tyson. That's part of the whole story. But we've got to get His Excellency on the phone. Maybe Rick Reno will do it.
Okay, well, if Turki Al-Sheikh is listening at the moment in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, give us a call. Wouldn't be the first time he's done that. Funnily enough, talking about promoters, Chris Eubank Jr. said earlier in the week, I'm a free agent now. No ties, no promoter, no limits. Not strictly true, said Ben Shalom. We'll get to that, and we'll talk about Ricky Hatton in the final part today. Another developing story this morning coming out of Manchester United. Manchester United have reportedly reached out to other potential candidates, but wish to speak to Michael Carrick first. What do you read into that? Is the significant fact of that Carrick gets first dibs in speaking to those who will make the ultimate decision? Well, in other words, he's leading the way.
I find it strange how these things come out. Like, who is it leaking the fact that United have spoken or speaking to other candidates before they speak to Michael? I mean, it's bizarre, especially when you're talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world. Can they not do business? Can they not keep their own counsel? I find that a bit bizarre, but he's done really well. And, with the position they were in to where he's got them, you could argue he deserves another go at it and bring some players in the summer. And I wouldn't say that's a huge risk. The progression they've made under him, I'd give him another go. Yeah.
Yeah. Significant, Simon, that they want to speak to Carrick first?
Yeah, again, I don't know who's briefing in and whether it's coming from Carrick's side or whether it's coming from Man United's side as to the briefing in as to why Man United need. You can employ an England manager without anyone knowing about it, but they can't seemingly have a conversation amongst themselves without broadcasting it to the media. I don't understand why that is the case. I still think it's fraught with lots of questions that need to be asked and answered about the position of someone that becomes in moments of adversity. We've seen no moments of adversity for Carrick, really.
Chris O'Dowd! When you get the offer to be the voice of a sheep...
Yes, you can only dream, really.
Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser! Well, how much of Rip does your husband in real life have about him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's mad.
He's Kirsty and Phil!
Can we talk about one other thing?
We can talk about loads of things. It's an interview.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning.
Get that winning feeling, courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Now, who wouldn't fancy 25 grand in their hand? For your chance to win that sum of money, head to talksportwin.com, text WIN to 83338, text online entries £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 418 7260. Entries got to be in by Monday at 4. 18 plus, UK residents only. It's a network promotion. Terms and conditions at talksportwin.com. Text WIN to 83338 right now. Adam Smith and Simon in studio as we talk boxing this lunchtime. And of course, we started off at 12 noon by talking about the somewhat unenviable task that Dave Allen has up in Doncaster this weekend, going in against the giant Filip Hergovic. How's he going to fare, Big Dave? One of the most popular boxers on the fight circuit. You can watch it on DAZN. You can watch Big Dave right now with us on our live YouTube feed, because Dave Allen joins us live and live on talkSPORT. Dave, it's a massive event coming up for you, and you're at your spiritual home, Doncaster, the very stadium at Doncaster. How are you feeling about what lies ahead for you?
Hello, Jim. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Yeah, I'm only a couple of miles from home. Just had a look outside at the old Keep Moat, the Eco Power. Going to feel like a superstar on Saturday, yeah. Obviously, I've got to fight Filip Hergovic, which is not going to be the easiest job in the world, but I'm at home. I'm headlining, a stadium, I've been to many times. Going to be full of, friends and family and 10,000 other people that come to support. So I'm very grateful, really. That's the main emotion I'm feeling. I'm very grateful to still be even in boxing, never mind to be headlining a football ground against a fighter like Hergovic.
Dave, it's Adam here. We're very grateful to have you in boxing too. It's going to be unbelievable on Saturday night. Dream come true for you in Doncaster. What I want to know is the training camp with Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis. You've got a really good partnership with them. What's been different this time for Hergovic?
Well, about 8 weeks ago, I said to Jamie and Nigel, I'm going to weigh under 18 stone. And I said, all right, we've heard that one before. So I said, if I don't do it, I'll give 50 grand to charity of your choosing. And I meant it, and I said, I'll pay up if I don't. So tomorrow at 1 p.m, my missus won't be happy, but if I'm not under 18 stone, she'll be more happy than me. So yeah, I said I'd be under 18 stone. I was 17-12 this morning. I'm in the best shape of my career. Whether I'm good enough or not is a different question, but that can only be answered Saturday. But I've done everything that I need to do, and I'm actually looking forward to it for the first time. When I watched Makhmudov, I was a bit unsure, but I'm more confident than ever. Probably the biggest job I've had on in my career so far, but probably the most confident I've been, because I'm going to box well. I'm going to box really well, and the rest is out of my hands, really.
Dave, I mean, when I last spoke to you, you talked about being very confident for this fight. Really confident, really fancying it, really believe that you can win this fight more than you believe perhaps you could beat Makhmudov. Well, I had Don Charles in the studio the other day talking to me about you and believing that you're going to win this fight. A different approach from you in terms of being very, very outspoken about the fact you really fancy this fight. What is it about Hergovic that makes you really quite fancy it?
It's not really Filip Hergovic. I'm aware he's a good fighter, Olympic medalist. He beat Zhilei Zhang. He's got some other good wins on his resume. But I just feel like this is going to be my night. I feel like we all have that one night in our lives where we're all capable of doing special things. And I've lived it for 8 weeks now. I really have lived it. I've trained hard. I've lived properly. I've lived well. I've ate well. I've slept well. And I just feel like in Doncaster, I just feel like everything's going to come together, and this will be my one night. If I beat Filip Hergovic, I might never win another fight again. But I do think May 16th is my night to really do that special thing that I think we all have the capability of doing if we really commit ourselves, and I have. So Saturday, I expect a career best performance.
Emotions, Dave? I remember you talking about being very emotional going into the ring in Sheffield. You're going to be even more emotional because this is your hometown. Are you going to be able to channel those emotions in the right direction? Not going to get the better of you, are they?
I'm not sure, really. It's a hard one to. I'm not going to lie to you and say I'll be completely fine. I don't know. As of right now, Thursday, 1:30, whatever time it is, 1 o'clock, I feel fantastic. 12:52, I think. 54. 12:54 on a Thursday, I feel absolutely buzzing. But I'm not going to get punched for another 2.5 days. So Saturday, I'll be sat on my sofa, window curtain twitching, nervous all day. But as of today, tomorrow I'll be completely fine. Saturday I'll be a nervous wreck. In the changing rooms, I'll be wishing that I revised from my GCSEs and got a proper job. But but right now I'm sound. So yeah,
Dave. You're a terrific guy.
Good luck,
known you a while. Really wish you well and good luck.
See you Saturday.
Good luck Saturday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dave Allen, you cannot help but love that fella. Before we go, a couple of things I want to touch on. Chris Eubank Jr. on social media last week. Just want to be clear about this. I am completely a free agent. No ties, no promoter, no...
But I've got a good relationship with Chris, so I was just surprised. We were discussing with his management the past few months, so we'll see what happens.
So, as far as you're aware, he's got a contract with Boxer?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
What conversation have you had with Chris?
I've not actually spoke to him since. I have had a couple of things. I think he's been in China, so I'll see him soon.
So we were speaking there, Ben, to Seconds Out TV. I mean, what do you believe to be the truth, Adam?
Johnny Nelson used to say, same story, different actors. We've heard this sort of thing before, haven't we? One thinks the contract is gone, the other one thinks it's still there. Who knows? It'd be interesting to see if Chris comes back this year in 2026, obviously off the defeat to Conor Benn up at super middleweight, I would imagine. And let's see if Ben Shalom's promoting him on the night.
You're not nonplussed either way, Simon, are you?
Fascinating. I mean, people can read contracts. It's not difficult to read, is it? So, I mean, who cares?
Adam, I want to finish on this. I think it's out at the end of the sort of September time. You're bringing out a new book, Ricky Hatton, The Light That Never Goes Out. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, I was compelled to write about Ricky. I loved him. He was a very close and important part of my life for many, many years. I grew up with him really in boxing. And I think after I did the eulogy at the funeral, which was one of the most obviously saddest, but also most extraordinary things I've ever seen, when Manchester came to a standstill last October, I just felt an urge to write. So I've talked to his family. I've talked to a huge amount of people that have been connected with Ricky as they have been. I'm going to tell some stories about the times that we had together, really shine a light on him. It's going to be a feel-good book, one for his legacy, and also it's also shining a torch on the Ricky Hatton Foundation for the struggle with mental health and fighters who finish, all sportsmen who finish their careers and have tough times. So there'll be some proceeds going to the Ricky Hatton Foundation. I'll also talk about my bladder cancer, which Ricky helped me through some of my very dark days too. So yeah, it's not all light. There's some dark and shade to it as well. But yeah, I hope people enjoy it because I want to keep Ricky's name forever burning bright, because he was a one-off and true working class hero, and I absolutely loved him.
Adam, thank you very much indeed. Adam Smith with us this Thursday lunchtime. Ricky Hatton, The Light That Never Goes Out. Isn't that the truth? Look forward to seeing that when it comes out. Simon, terrific as always. I shall see you very soon.
You will.
Good luck to Big Dave Allen. How could you not like Dave Allen, who takes on Philip Hergovic? Ooh, this weekend in Donny. It's 1 o'clock.
James